Urban cultivation is mindless and refreshing, don't think too much. Readers can chuckle after reading, even if I'm not busy in vain. The male protagonist Xianxia came from the world of cultivation and was invaded by a foreign Zerg tribe. Unfortunately, he fell in battle. Being rescued by the immortal, we have regained the opportunity for reincarnation. I don't want to cross the plane by chance and reincarnate into a world without cultivators. Shuangwen from the harem, without knives and cows, rest assured to read it. Program Monkey is busy with work and may not be able to update steadily. Please understand. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Body Falling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The weather is sunny, accompanied by a gentle breeze, making people feel very comfortable. Even better if they don't have to face strong enemies from other worlds. Xianxia thought so. As a world of cultivation, the planet resources are very abundant, and many great powers have been born. Flying to heaven and escaping to earth are all trivial matters. For those experts, breaking through the limitations of the planet with their physical bodies and stepping into the universe does not require much effort. Having sufficient resources makes it easy to be targeted by others, which is reasonable. Since Xianxia's birth, over a period of 1,225 years, he has witnessed various alien invasions, with at least one occurrence every year. Some rely on individual strength to break through space alone. This usually takes minutes to settle. Xianxia still remembers when he was a child and a few friends gathered at a restaurant to have a tooth festival. Suddenly, he encountered a situation, right above the street, where a crack appeared in the sky, which was quite exaggerated. However, the people on the street were all watching and pointing, and not a single one was afraid. Xianxia knew it was a spatial crack, which he had learned in elementary school classrooms. Part of it was naturally formed by the flow of spatial energy and would quickly recover. The self-healing ability of space is very strong. For creatures like this that have not recovered for more than 10 seconds, they are usually powerful creatures who have broken through the space barrier and want to cross the world. I guess there's another creature that doesn't have long eyes coming to deliver vegetables, Xianxia discussed with his friends. While people were discussing, the cracks in the space were shining brightly, and there were roars that sounded like a deterrent. Then, a giant beast resembling a lizard emerged from it, spreading its membrane wings behind it and flying in the air. It stared with big eyes and looked around, only to find that it was surrounded by humans. This small creature also exists in its world, and even when used as food, it feels unsatisfying. The big lizard expressed disdain and let out a loud roar, wanting to declare its arrival. Ah! It's so noisy. Old Lou, the chubby chef at the restaurant, rushed out with a kitchen knife. You have a loud voice, right? Don't run if you have the guts. Chef Lou said, jumping his legs upwards with a slight force. Only a very small, whoosh sound was emitted. The whole person rose from the ground, flew high into the air, instantly reached the top of the big lizard's head, and then kicked it down. The big lizard didn't react at all, it didn't even notice the figure of Chef Lou. Its mouth was wide open to make a roar before it could close. It was kicked in the forehead, lost consciousness in an instant, and fell rapidly from the air, as if hit by an extraterrestrial meteorite. People watched as the big lizard quickly fell down, with its head down, slamming into the ground with a loud bang, causing a big hole. They applauded and said, "Congratulations to Chef Lou for harvesting new ingredients." Chef Lou chuckled and patted his plump belly, saying, "Show off your embarrassment. Let me study the meat quality of this thing and make some dishes. Come and drink tonight, it's my treat." Invaders who come from similar monomers usually end up like this, becoming ingredients for chefs in various restaurants. There are also groups of organized and planned invaders who come over, and these are usually the collective actions of the entire town residents. If necessary, they can contact other towns and clean up within a few days. However, this time it's different. Things like this have never happened before. This time, the Zerg from another world are here, and their breeding speed is extremely fast. Although their individual strength is not strong, the number is too large. There are various individuals among them, some responsible for melee fighting, some responsible for long range firepower, some responsible for harassing and poisoning, some fearlessly charging up and self-destructing, and so on. The division of labor is clear and the advance and retreat are moderate, just like having a clever commander behind the scenes to command and dispatch. Initially discovered as a spatial crack in the wilderness, the Zerg individuals who initially appeared were not strong enough and were easily killed by passing medicinal gatherers. However, at that time, I was careless and didn't clean up properly, causing those insects to leave spatial coordinate marks in a special way before they died. Quickly, at the same location, the spatial crack opened again, and waves of Zerg quietly crawled out of it, spreading in all directions and randomly selecting locations for nesting and breeding. The next day when the herb picker went to the wilderness to pick herbs, he found that the mountains and fields were filled with Zergs, so numerous that his scalp felt numb at a glance. He immediately used the 1,000-mile transmission to request reinforcements, and the surrounding towns immediately dispatched several highly skilled cultivators to besiege. Based on past situations, having around 10 cultivators can solve various problems. However, this time, the positions of the flattened and the flattened sides were swapped. Countless Zerg races flooded in, wave after wave, as if they could never finish killing. Although the cultivators have high strength, their mana is also limited. After killing, their mana is almost exhausted, and they cannot even maintain their protective spells, so they have to retreat first. When the monks were organized to besiege again, the number of Zergs increased. They quickly build nests and reproduce, replenishing energy on the spot and eating whatever they see. There are many plants in the wilderness that are rich in spiritual energy. After the Zerg tribe eats these plants that can be called spiritual medicines, the insect population gradually becomes stronger and harder to deal with the naked eye. Once a large-scale spell could clean up a weak Zerg tribe, but now after the spell, there will always be a large number of bugs left to be killed, making it increasingly difficult to clean up. This has led to the monks consuming more and more mana. But as the cleaning gradually progressed, the number of Zergs seemed to be decreasing, which made the monks seem to see hope. However, when the cultivators had almost exhausted their mana, a sudden mutation occurred. A large number of Zerg suddenly emerged from the ground, catching the cultivators off guard. At this moment, flying Zergs also appeared in the sky, trapped in a situation of being surrounded from all directions. Moreover, all of these Zergs have undergone evolutionary upgrades, with only sporadic casualties from large-scale spell strikes. At this point, the cultivators had exhausted their mana and exhausted all the pills they carried. However, the Zerg tribe continued to flow, and as they looked around, it was still overwhelming. Even some distant Zerg tribes began to bypass them and march towards the town. Thinking about the speed and evolutionary ability of this insect, the cultivators decided to send one person back to the town to report the situation, while the others dispersed and intercepted the insect swarm, fighting to the death without retreating. When the mana is exhausted, use your physical body to attack, but we are outnumbered. Even if the physical strength of each cultivator is extraordinary, it is difficult to defeat 4 hands with 2 fists, and hungry tigers are not as good as wolves. So, casualties began to emerge. A cultivator surnamed Zhang's magical power was completely exhausted, and during the physical confrontation with the Zerg, he was left with a small scratch on his skin. He felt that these minor injuries were not a big deal, but soon began to feel dizzy and weak. He suddenly realized that the insect may have obtained toxicity from local spiritual medicine and can also have an effect on cultivators. He shouted loudly, "These insects are poisonous. Be careful." Then he collapsed to the ground, feeling powerless all over, thinking to himself. Done. I'm getting cold. I hope to preserve the original spirit. But then he remembered that even the Ectopia Zerg could upgrade and evolve by taking local spiritual medicines. If they were to eat the flesh and blood of their own cultivator, how about that? Suddenly scared out in a cold sweat. Damn it. I'm going crazy with you guys. He detonated his own spirit, only to hear a loud bang, leaving no bones. Due to his conscious control of the explosion intensity, he focused all of it on his own flesh, and the explosion range was not too large, only 100 meters around, but it did completely destroy his flesh, leaving no dust behind. Lao Zhang. The other cultivators had a great pain in their backs, but they also understood Lao Zhang's intention. If this insect were to evolve to a level of magic, at such a breeding speed, it would be the ultimate disaster of this world. The physical body of a cultivator is strong, and only when the primordial spirit explodes can it be completely destroyed. However, this also means losing the opportunity to reshape the physical body and resurrect it, which is a complete extinction. The remaining few were also injured in the battle and used their last bit of magic to spread 1,000 miles of sound. After informing them of the situation, they gradually lost their mobility and self-destructed their elemental gods. The cultivators in the town received news and also sensed the situation of the Genshin impact exploding on the battlefield. While feeling sad, they knew they had underestimated these Zergs and needed the whole nation to fight against them with desperate consciousness. While sending people to contact other towns and mobilizing the whole town, the pharmacists began to refine a large number of medicines, the alchemists began to create divine weapons and immortals, and the formation mages began to arrange various formations to enhance allies and damage external enemies, arming everyone. Even children received defensive and protective immortals. Yang Yu, come over here, the old town mayor called out. As a young generation of cultivators, Yang Yu's strength is quite strong, having won the first place in a youth competition held jointly in various towns. Yang Yu knew that there must be very important tasks to assign to him. Mayor Grandpa, you said. The old mayor patted Yang Yu's shoulder and said. The situation this time is terrible. I have lived for tens of thousands of years and have never seen someone like this before. In just a few days, I can evolve into a foreign invader that causes casualties to us. The evolutionary and reproductive abilities of this Zerg tribe exceed our imagination. I think we should invite the immortal to come back and help us. This task is up to you. Let's go to the altar and make a move. The old mayor paused for a moment, patted his shoulder, and continued, the altar is not far from the area where the Zerg tribe roams, and it is quite dangerous. You must be extra careful and bring enough magic weapons and pills to protect yourself. Take advantage of other cultivators fighting against the Zerg tribe, find an opportunity to go there. Yang Yu knows how to invite immortals through the altar method. The Sodot called Xianxia refers to the local cultivators who have achieved positive results and ascended to a more powerful world to continue their cultivation. Before they have enough strength to ascend, cultivators cannot actively open the channel to the upper realm, but they can contact the local ascending immortals through the altar method. The immortals can use the spatial information left by the altar to break through the space and return to their hometown. Yang Yu received many elixirs, magical tools, and materials for making the altar. Connecting with the immortal through the altar requires a huge amount of mana, and most young cultivators need several people to work together. If it were Yang Yu with high strength, it would be similar for him to take some pills alone. With everything ready, Yang Yu walked out of the town and looked towards the direction of the altar. The weather is sunny with a gentle breeze, making people feel very comfortable. Even better without the Zerg. I heard that the battle in the distance had already begun, so I believe the Zerg army should be attracted to it. With this in mind, Yang Yu unleashed his senses and explored around, discovering that there were no Zergs nearby, so he quickly ran towards the direction of the altar. Everything went smoothly along the way, without a single Zerg. Yang Yu rushed to the altar and arranged various materials according to the steps he had learned. These materials are quite rare and valuable, and unless there are major problems, they are generally not easily invited to become immortals. After swallowing several pills that continued to restore mana, Yang Yu began to practice. He recited a spell in his mouth, urging his entire body to inject mana into the altar, and the stone altar began to emit a faint light. Generally, cultivators can only say that they have a superficial grasp of the power of space. This kind of cross-world connection is mainly played by the altar left by the upper immortal before leaving. As long as they input enough magic and specific materials to activate the altar, they can meet the communication needs. The process of establishing communication takes a period of time and requires continuous casting until the upper bound is connected. With the injection of magic, the altar gradually emits a sense of spatial rules. Yang Yu was afraid of attracting the attention of the Zerg, so he accelerated the speed of mana injection. "Hurry up! Hurry up!" Yang Yu shouted in his heart. Finally, after a wave of fluctuations in the spatial rules, the altar emitted a bright light, and the materials placed gradually dissolved in the light and were absorbed by the altar. With sufficient energy, communication begins to be established. Wait for the upper immortal to connect. Next, there's no need to continue casting spells. Yang Yu wiped the sweat off his head and felt quite tired. However, at this moment, a group of flying Zergs descended from the sky, surrounding Yang Yu in the middle. They were ready to launch an attack with their teeth and claws open. Indeed, it has attracted the Zerg tribe. Yang Yu took out a large handful of elixirs and stuffed them into his mouth. While chewing, he drew out his immortal sword and confronted the insect swarm. The insect swarm seems to understand that Yang Yu's behavior is asking for reinforcements and launching a decisive attack. Because within the range of the altar, Yang Yu dared not use large scale spells, fearing that it would affect communication with the altar. He only strengthened himself through spells, wielding a sword to fight against the Zerg and gradually widening the distance from the altar while fighting. Due to the previous consumption of a large amount of mana, even after taking a large amount of pills, it takes time to restore mana. The insect swarm seemed to have also noticed this and launched a crazy attack, hoping to kill Yang Yu before his magic had fully recovered. You should know that a solitary cultivator is seen by the Zerg as the key to opening a new door to evolution. Yang Yu gradually became powerless, and wounds began to appear on his body, causing a sense of weakness caused by toxins. He looked anxiously at the altar and shouted, "Connect quickly. Immortal. Quickly." Perhaps the immortal heard Yang Yu's call, and the altar let out a buzzing sound, and the communication was successfully established. A deep male voice echoed from the altar. "My hometown calls me. What's going on?" Yang Yu shouted loudly, "Immortal. Our hometown is in trouble. The Zerg tribe from another world is invading. We need support." The voice in the altar suddenly became nervous. "What are you talking about? The Zerg from another world? I will immediately call a few people back home. You hold on." From the tense tone, it can be heard that this Zerg is not an easy thing to deal with in the eyes of the immortal. Seeing that the immortal had already learned the news, Yang Yu's tense spirit suddenly relaxed, and his eyes turned black. The toxin had almost made him lose consciousness. He thought he couldn't let the Zerg eat his own flesh and blood, so he used his final consciousness to ignite his own spirit. At this moment, it was less than 100 meters away from the altar. In order to avoid the impact of the battle on the altar, Yang Yu consciously widened the distance a little. "I hope it won't affect the altar." Yang Yu tried to compress the explosion range of the Yuan Shen. With a loud bang, within 10 meters, everything turned into nothingness. Just before Yang Yu's primordial spirit exploded and his consciousness was about to dissipate, a strong beam of light erupted from the altar. Immortal descended. A big hand stretched out from the pillar of light, and with a distant grip, it managed to grab Yang Yu's consciousness out alone. Without a physical body or spiritual essence, it managed to maintain his existence with its powerful magic alone. Then, a group of immortals walked out of the pillar of light, including the elderly, young adults, and young girls of different ages, with various shapes. At this level of strength, people of any age group are free to express themselves, and they have control over their own energy with ease. An old man waved his hand, and all the nearby Zerg tribes were instantly wiped out, as if they had never existed. A battle with a significant difference in strength is like this, not to mention skill, it's just crushing. This kid is seeking help in a timely manner and has made contributions. Please save him. Unfortunately, the primordial spirit has exploded and cannot be resurrected. Can we arrange for a reincarnation? Said the strong man who saved Yang Yu's consciousness. Give it to me. A kind-looking old lady walked over and said, I have acquaintances with the deity in charge of reincarnation. That's great. Of course, Yang Yu didn't know about the above conversations. His consciousness was dormant and he thought he had lost his soul. Chapter 2. Reincarnation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wake up. Yang Yu's consciousness was in a dormant state, thinking that he had already lost his soul. Suddenly, he heard a call, which was very gentle and had a magical power, awakening him from deep sleep. What's the situation? Where am I? Didn't I self-destruct? Yang Yu raised a question and looked around and sensed, but could not detect anyone or anything. His vision comes from his physical eyes, and his sensory power comes from his soul that has been cultivated for many years, neither of which he currently possesses. He only has consciousness and exists alone without a body or soul. Wait a moment, I'll gather your soul first. A gentle voice came again. Yang Yu understood that there was a great power to save himself. After thanking, I waited with peace of mind. At this moment, the magic that encapsulated Yang Yu's consciousness was placed in a bowl. Next to her, an old lady is observing the state of the bowl, and another woman is preparing the medicine. Add purified water from the underworld, then grind the powder of yin and yang crystals, and add a blank soul body. Use the soul of the demon king from the previous plane battle, the woman murmured. The old lady asked, the demon king from another world. Will the demon king's soul have any negative effects? The woman waved her hand and said, it doesn't matter. The consciousness of the demon king in the other world has been eliminated. This is a pure soul body with no impurities. That's good. That demon king has high strength, and it was quite difficult to fight back then. With such a powerful presence, his soul body is also full of energy, making it rare to help people reshape their soul. Of course, it's a good choice. As the woman spoke, she poured various ingredients she had previously talked about into a bowl and then took out a spoon to start stirring. The original material consisted of solids and liquids, which gradually transformed into a pure soul energy during stirring. It merged with the magical power that carried Yang Yu's consciousness and eventually became a whole, a milky white semi-transparent spherical object with some elasticity. Done. Young man, please try to sense it. Yang Yu felt that his consciousness had become enriched and had become a complete soul. He senses the surroundings and has sufficient soul power to provide feedback on the situation, which is no different from looking directly with his eyes. Thank you very much for the life-saving kindness of the two immortals. Yang Yu noticed that there were two immortals around him observing him, probably the ones who saved him. You're welcome, this kind of small matter is just a piece of cake for us. It's you, little child, your courage is commendable. The old lady said, you could have escaped with all your might at that time, but you chose to fight to the death and not retreat. You held on until the communication was connected to the altar, sent important messages, and made great contributions. There are many species of alien Zerg, each of which is quite difficult to deal with. They reproduce and evolve quickly. If they are targeted by them, unless they kill them at a faster rate than their reproduction and kill the mother worm, they will be dragged into a prolonged battle. Under their rapid evolution speed, the outcome will only be complete extinction. The old lady explained. Upon hearing this, Yang Yu quickly asked, so how is the situation in our world? The old lady smiled and said, if you report the news in time, we will immediately set off to rescue and crush all the Zerg tribes. They are now safe. With their evolutionary speed, if we wait a few more days, we may not be able to return in time. All the energy-containing things on the entire planet will be eaten up by them. Speaking, using magic to form a mirror, replaying the battle situation at that time in the mirror. After the arrival of several immortals, they scattered directly towards the surroundings, and when they saw the Zerg along the way, they waved their hands and killed them all in seconds. Two other immortals activated their divine consciousness and searched for the location of the mother insect. Quickly found, the two immortals set off immediately. The mother insect is hiding in a mountain, where a huge cave has been dug out as a breeding ground. Although this mother worm has a huge body, it appears to have some difficulty moving. Its body is like a giant worm, and every movement is laying eggs. Its combat power is not strong, and all its strength is focused on reproduction. In just one breath, the cave is filled with its eggs. Those eggs hatch upon landing, and the larvae that crawl out of them eat the outer shell of the eggs in 3 or 2 bites, instantly turning into adults and climbing out of the mountain cave to participate in battles. There is another worm with a particularly large head following the mother worm. It has short limbs, except for a particularly large head, which looks very strange. This is a brain worm, the combat commander of a swarm of insects, quite clever. However, hee. The old lady expressed mockery. No matter how smart you are, your strength is useless. At this point, we can still see insects returning outside. This insect is clearly much stronger than the other insects, as if it has brought something back to feed the mother insect. This is the escort team of the mother insect, with stronger strength than other insects. When the insects outside eat good food that can make the insect race evolve, they will call on these escort teams and take them back directly to feed the mother insect. This way, the mother insect can also obtain the evolution factor, and the insects produced will become stronger and stronger, which is why. After explaining, the old lady sighed and said, "These guys are really ruthless for evolution." The following scene is very simple. Two immortals rush into the cave, unleashing an invisible shockwave that instantly kills all the insects. What kind of insect eggs, larvae, and adult insects protect the insect brain and mother insects, and in an instant, they die completely. There are no special effects such as radiance or loud noise, and the immortals' control over energy has reached an unimaginable level. They will convert the energy of radiance and sound into their killing power. The two immortals returned, and the battles of the other immortals also came to an end. The entire planet's alien Zerg race was cleaned up. An old man said to the immortal, "Everyone, check again. There must be no residue in this Zerg tribe. Every larva has a chance to evolve into a mother worm." So all the immortals used their divine powers one after another, spreading their divine consciousness to the entire planet. If they found any suspicious places, they went directly to investigate, and finally cleaned up all the traces of the Zerg race. During this period, spatial coordinates left by the Zerg were also discovered and cleaned up. The screen ends here. Seeing that his world was saved, Yang Yu was very pleased. Choosing to self-destruct the elemental gods at the last moment is the wisest choice for you. If the Zerg eat the blood and flesh of the cultivators, even we may not be able to easily kill them. The old lady sighed and said, "They are all brave children, but unfortunately, the consciousness body only saved you. And even if you keep the consciousness body, you cannot be reborn. Because in the current rules of the world, the self-destructing spirit belongs to complete extinction. It is not in the current cycle, and you cannot reshape your physical body for rebirth, nor can you be reincarnated in this world." The gentle woman said, "The ability to save your consciousness is from this upper realm. If your strength reaches the level of ascension, you can also be reborn or reincarnated in the upper realm. However, your current strength is still insufficient." The old lady is an immortal who rose from Yang Yu's world, and the gentle woman is a native of the upper realm. After communicating with them, Yang Yu learned that the cultivation realm of this upper realm is basically divided into 7 realms. Heavenly immortal, true immortal, Xian immortal, the Luo Jin immortal, immortal lord, and immortal emperor. The strength above the immortal emperor is beyond the limits of this world, and one must ascend to a higher world in order to continue practicing. In the lower realm where Yang Yu is located, the cultivation realm is divided into 7 realms. Golden elixir, Yuanying, transforming spirit, refining void, combining, Mahayana, and crossing calamity. A newborn baby has no strength. When they go to school, they follow their teachers to learn and practice. With the help of generations of experts who have revised and organized their cultivation textbooks and school teachers, they reach adulthood at the age of 15, usually in the golden elixir period. By the age of 30, they can complete all the courses and then graduate, either self-cultivate or join other organizations. To achieve the strength of crossing the tribulation and soaring, it takes at least 2,000 years of cultivation to have a chance. Rounding means that one has been practicing diligently in the lower realm for over 2,000 years, then crossing the tribulation and soaring to the upper realm, with strength roughly equivalent to that of a child who has just started school in the upper realm. The gap is still huge. Yang Yu was born 1,225 years ago, with good talent and hard work. He has reached the early stage of the Mahayana period and is already quite outstanding among his peers. However, he is still far from crossing the tribulation and soaring, so he cannot adopt the method of resurrection in the upper realm. Yang Yu believes that it may be due to insufficient strength being despised by the will of the world. But there are also other ways, the gentle woman said. I can send you to another world with a lower level of cultivation for reincarnation. But you should know that a lower level of cultivation often means a lack of resources, and it may be difficult to return to your hometown after recultivating. I hope you are mentally prepared. I was already about to end up in a state where my soul was in a state of despair. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to live a new life. How dare I expect too much? Yang Yu said he doesn't care about such a small issue. In the previous life, he devoted himself to cultivation and never had a single immortal couple. In this life, he wants to enjoy life. So the woman and the old lady took Yang Yu's soul to the cross-border post station. This cross-border post station is specifically designed to serve immortals with cross-border public positions. Some immortals, after reaching a certain level of cultivation, do not want to continue exploring higher abilities and only want their wives and children to warm up their beds and enjoy life. However, even this kind of lying flat life requires eating. Immortals do not represent immortality. To maintain longevity, one needs to regularly replenish energy, and in other words, one still needs to eat. So they went to the World Management Center to look for jobs. There is a great ability to communicate with the will of the world there, and they will assign jobs to these fairies who are looking for jobs. They usually go to lower levels of cultivation to hold public positions, such as managing earthquakes, volcanoes, wind and rain weather, life cycles, and so on, in order to exchange work for income. This cross-border relay station provides a service of transporting people and materials across the world. The woman is an immortal who governs the reincarnation of life in multiple worlds. She plans to send Yang Yu's soul to some of the worlds under her jurisdiction and find a lower-level world for reincarnation. So, Yang Yu's soul was packed in a courier package and loaded into a cross-border station car. The car travels through the gaps of the world, occasionally stopping to unload a batch of packages. This trip is finally almost finished. There are still 2 stops left. The transport immortal stretched lazily, and cross-border transportation was quite difficult, requiring continuous output of mana to the transport vehicle. There is a package for sending souls to a world with lower cultivation levels for reincarnation. Let me send it to any world you like. The previous stop is quite suitable, so let's send it here. The car stopped, and the transport immortal cast a spell to place the goods on the teleportation array, along with Yang Yu's soul. The light of the magic array flashed, and the goods had been taken away by the other end, so the transport immortal set off again. No one expected that an unexpected situation would arise. Due to the fact that the item teleportation array was not as comfortable as the personnel teleportation array, at the moment of starting the teleportation, Yang Yu's soul felt a subtle discomfort and itching. He sneezed. Ah, sneeze. After finishing the fight, he even mocked himself for a moment. He has no physical body, why sneeze? It seems to be a subconscious instinct at work. Teleportation is an efficient means of moving billions of miles in an instant, using a magic array to mobilize the power of space. The power of space is so mysterious that even immortals can only say that it can be used after paying the magic, and there is no way to thoroughly study it. This sneeze caused the package where Yang Yu's soul was located to vibrate during the few seconds it passed through the space passage. This earthquake caused the package he was in to deviate from the spatial channel and directly enter the spatial crack. In the turbulent flow of space, it squeezed into the exit of another spatial channel. Coincidentally, there are also immortals over there who are in charge of the reincarnation of souls in one world, receiving packages. Unfortunately, the spatial crack brought Yang Yu to a different plane. An extra package. Let me see, the soul of reincarnation. It's a small matter. Although it's not named, I don't know which immortal sent it, but I'll just handle it. There's no need to deliberately send it to a wealthy family for reincarnation, it's really worry-free. So Yang Yu's soul was taken to the place of soul reincarnation in this world. The underworld. In the underworld, Yang Yu's soul went from being a sphere to his original appearance, although it was still milky white and semi-transparent. Because it was sent through a cross-border post station, it must be related to a certain immortal. There is no need to follow the human reincarnation process, just register a name, and a ghost will lead to the reincarnation department. The country of reincarnation chose Dragon Country, and because the express box was written in Dragon Country's ancient language, it was a happy decision. The ghost sent Yang Yu to the Longwa Humanistic Reincarnation Office, explaining his situation. He had already boarded the bus from the cross-border post station. So the reincarnation office opened an introduction letter and sent the ghost to the next department to report. The next department is the Past Life Memory Clearing Center. The old lady surnamed Meng watched as someone came and prepared a bowl of soup on the table. Guicha quickly stepped forward to greet Grandma Meng and took out a letter of introduction. Grandma Meng glanced at the introduction letter and looked up at Yang Yu, thinking to herself that she had no magical power, unlike someone who cultivates immortals. However, Grandma Meng looked carefully again and saw that I was obedient. The power of my soul was so strong that I couldn't even tell the specific level of strength. Perhaps it was an immortal family specializing in soul power. Grandma Meng thought of it this way and didn't let Yang Yu drink soup. She directly stamped the introduction letter and asked the ghost to take Yang Yu to the Reincarnation Center. Upon arriving at the Reincarnation Center and submitting the letter of introduction, Guicha reminded Yang Yu, "Your situation is a special approval, and you have not followed the usual procedures or cleared your past life memories. You are a newborn in the past, but please be careful not to speak so as to scare people." Yang Yu remembered the appearance of the neighbor's baby he had seen before, recalled how the baby cried, nodded, and said, "I have a clear idea in my heart, don't worry." So under the guidance of the ghost, Yang Yu jumped into the entrance of reincarnation on the human path and went to reincarnation. Chapter 3. A New Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Yang Yu jumped down from the entrance of the reincarnation shaft, he felt like he was constantly falling. Not long after, it seemed as if it had reached the end, and the feeling of falling was gone. Next is a feeling of gradual enrichment, and Yang Yu speculates that the soul is merging with the physical body, starting from the head and gradually expanding towards the limbs of the body. Feeling very slow, it may take a considerable amount of time, so Yang Yu chose to take a deep sleep. After sleeping for a while, Yang Yu woke up once and felt that his soul had expanded to his arms, so he tried to move his arms. With this movement, Yang Yu encountered the surrounding obstacles and realized that he was still in his mother's body and had not yet been born. Therefore, he dared not move around and continued to sleep. After sleeping for an unknown amount of time, Yang Yu woke up again. At this point, his soul had expanded to his entire body, and his hands and feet could move in small areas, but his eyes could not be opened yet. Feeling that the days were approaching and it was time for birth, Yang Yu was still a little excited. In a clear state of consciousness, he was reincarnated, and probably not many people had experienced it, right? It's strange to be nervous. Hearing the hustle and bustle outside, Yang Yu felt that his mother's body was repelling him, and it must be time for him to be born. Oh my, I'm so nervous. Will the birth go smoothly? Should we take the left foot or the right foot first when going out? When is it appropriate to start crying? Yang Yu was a bit panicked, but he still tried to adjust his position to minimize his mother's burden and make it easier to go out. Finally came out, feeling like the process was going smoothly and very fast. Although my eyes have not yet opened, I can still feel the light from the outside world. Let's start crying now. So Yang Yu started to cry, just like a normal baby born. Yang Yu tried to unleash some soul-sensing power to sense the surrounding environment. At this moment, the mother is resting on the bed, while the father is by her side. There are still many people wearing white clothes around them busy, probably doctors or midwives, using tools or tools of different shapes to do physical examinations for themselves. Congratulations, Madam has given birth to a chubby boy weighing 8 pounds, and both mother and son are very healthy. Yang Yu was handed over to his father. The father held the child and nodded calmly to thank him, as if he wasn't very excited. Thank you. If it weren't for the uncontrollable smile on his father's face when he turned to look at him, the corners of his mouth would have grinned to the tip of his ear. Yang Yu even doubted for a moment whether his father in this lifetime didn't like him. Great, Xiaoyu has a companion. She's so busy with work that she rarely has time to spend with her. The child must be very lonely, right? Living with a younger brother should be very enjoyable. I learned from the conversation that I seem to have an older sister named Yang Xiaoyu, who was born 3 years earlier than me. Yang Yu kept thinking and couldn't stop crying. It's time to breastfeed the child, hurry up, the mother urged while lying on the hospital bed. The father quickly placed the child in the mother's arms. Watching the child breastfeed, the mother's face was filled with a loving smile. The child's name has been decided long ago, so it's Yang Yu. My mother's name is Li Yu, and my father's name is Yang Yi, so the two children choose their names using their father's surname, combined with the homophonic sound of their mother's name. One is Xiaoyu and the other is Yu, which is both worry-free and pleasant to call. Just like his own name, it must be that the department responsible for reincarnation has been deployed in advance, and the efficiency of handling affairs is really high, Yang Yu thought as he suckled. I have just been born in this life, and I don't know how much is suitable for breastfeeding. Is it opening up to eat? Or just take a bite and eat later? Yang Yu hesitated for a moment and gave up thinking. Regardless, it was important to replenish energy or eat enough first. Watching the child fall asleep after breastfeeding, without crying or making a fuss, parents are very pleased. Many newborns will cry endlessly and have to be comforted for a long time, which is very difficult. It seems that Yang Yu will be a good child to take care of. Yang Yu didn't really fall asleep, he pretended. Revive your life, after all, you were a cultivator before, and your memories have not been washed away. You should return to your old profession and embark on the path of cultivation again. Yang Yu recalled the children's beginner breathing method he initially practiced, which was the basic cultivation method for children to get started. With breathing, he could absorb spiritual energy from the air and convert it into spiritual power to warm and nourish the body, preparing for subsequent cultivation. However, when he started exercising, Yang Yu found that the spiritual energy in the air of this world was extremely rare, completely different from the world in his previous life. I understand why the previous world had abundant resources, but there was still such a world with scarce spiritual energy. Yang Yu sensed the people around him, almost all of whom had no cultivation. Only one patient's family member in the hallway seemed to have a little bit of cultivation, limited to the level of martial arts physical training, and did not even touch the edge of cultivation. Armed police soldier Xiao Zhang, whose mother was feeling unwell and came to the hospital for treatment, fortunately did not have any tasks during this period. He took leave to accompany his mother. Suddenly, he felt someone take a glance at him. The person who had been trained had a keen sense, and he immediately fell asleep. This was not just a typical glance, but the other person saw through his strength in an instant. Who? He turned back suddenly, but did not see any suspicious person. He looked around and didn't find anyone suspicious in appearance, nor did he hear of any active criminals recently. It seemed that he was overthinking. Xiao Zhang shook his head and focused on accompanying his mother. I feel quite sensitive. Yang Yu withdrew his soul perception, which those who have not yet cultivated immortality cannot understand. This soul perception can penetrate walls, but of course, it cannot see people. There's no way to deal with the scarcity of spiritual energy. Let's count as much as you have and use it. Yang Yu began to practice breathing and breathing, appearing to be sleeping. In fact, this breathing method is to be integrated into the breath, so that spiritual energy can gradually accumulate in daily life, and even sleep does not delay cultivation. I slept soundly, but soon became hungry again. A baby's small body is prone to hunger, and they need to be fed milk every 2 to 3 hours. Yang Yu cried a few times, and his mother immediately woke up from sleep. She had already given birth to a baby, and this experience was still there. At first glance, she knew that the child was hungry again. Thinking of the child she had given birth to, her mother's face showed a hint of confusion. Then he shook his head and looked at Yang Yu in his arms. Good child, eat more and grow up quickly, the mother whispered. So, Yang Yu spent several months in the cycle of eating, sleeping, and eating. My eyes also opened, and when I saw my parents, I laughed and they were very happy. The frequency of breastfeeding doesn't need to be so high anymore, it becomes easier to take care of. During this time, I returned home from the hospital and also met Sister Xiaoyu. Sister Xiaoyu is very happy and often plays with Yang Yu. But Yang Yu always felt that Sister Xiaoyu had something on her mind. When both parents are not around, Sister Xiaoyu occasionally says, with my younger brother, will my parents stop loving me? Little people don't have much to worry about. However, Yang Yu dared not speak out to comfort him, it was still a little baby. After the mother's condition stabilized, the father returned to work and seemed quite busy, coming home very late every day. But the marital relationship is harmonious, and even if the father is socializing outside, he will insist on returning home every day, no matter how late it is, to accompany his wife and children. My mother, on the other hand, is gentle and virtuous, and manages the household well. In addition to household chores, she works as a temporary laborer in the nearby supermarket, leading a prosperous life. When Yang Yu was almost 1 year old, he began to call his parents with very clear pronunciation. The couple was extremely happy and said when they saw relatives and friends, my son can call his parents now. The only problem is that my father works very hard and it seems that his health has deteriorated. Occasionally, Yang Yu's soul sensing would hear his mother's sigh in the late night. I have been breathing and breathing for a year now, and I have accumulated a little spiritual power. Let's use it for my father first. Family harmony is the most important thing, and cultivation is not urgent. So one day, while his father was resting on his stomach, Yang Yu climbed onto his father's body and crawled back and forth. As he crawled, he infused spiritual power into his father's meridians. An ordinary person without any cultivation, with spiritual power blessing, even if it is only a small amount, will still be healthy and unaffected by all diseases. That night, Yang Yu's soul sensed his mother's sigh. Why are you so bad today? Did you take your medicine? Father. No, I can't say what's going on. Anyway, I feel like my body has become very energetic, as if I'm 20 years younger. Darling, let's do it again. Eavesdropping on parental intimacy is not a good behavior. Good children should go to bed now. However, Yang Yu remembered some news he had heard in his past life, which said that he had found a like-minded opposite-sex couple to form an immortal couple. He could use the dual cultivation technique to practice together and enhance his strength, and the efficiency was very high. However, Yang Yu is still young, only over 1,200 years old, and has never had a fairy couple. I heard that some evil cultivators use crooked techniques to absorb the strength of the other party for their own use, which is very cunning. So searching for immortals requires extreme caution and cannot be too casual. Yang Yu has studied these two cultivation techniques, but unfortunately, he did not have the opportunity to use them in his past life. I hope to find a fairy couple in this world and spend a lifetime together, Yang Yu thought and fell asleep in a daze. After a few more years, Yang Yu started attending elementary school. Before starting elementary school, Yang Yu was sent to kindergarten to play and study with other children. During his kindergarten years, Yang Yu learned a lot about the world through his observation ability in soul perception. Due to the lack of spiritual energy here, it is not suitable to embark on the path of cultivation. Therefore, the people here have chosen another development path, which is called science. People discover new available technologies from various organisms, simulate those abilities through manufacturing tools, and do better than natural organisms. For example, airplanes. People in this world can actually fly into the sky without any magic power, and as long as they buy tickets and pay, everyone can fly. There is also a mobile phone that cannot be clearly defined by which method it can be made, and it can also achieve sound transmission for thousands of miles, which is very convenient. Is this the strength of scientific development? It's not inferior to us cultivators at all. Yang Yu was curious about these things, but kindergartens don't teach much. Most of the time, they teach literacy, singing, playing, and so on, with only a small amount of introductory science. Finally entering elementary school, Yang Yu is full of expectations for campus life. On the day of enrollment, his parents escorted Yang Yu to primary school and enrolled him in the class. Yang Yu sat in the classroom with many children, while the teacher was calling the roll. Yang Yu. Here. Yang Yu stood up and responded loudly. Very good, very energetic. Yang Yu's sister Xianxia also attended elementary school here, in 4th grade. After school, Xiaoyu came to Yang Yu's class door and waited for him to come home together. Sister Xiaoyu. Yang Yu exclaimed happily as he saw the sister at the door. Since Yang Yu was able to move freely, he has been very kind to this little sister. He knew that the little sister had a very delicate mind, afraid that she would think that having a younger brother and parents would stop him from loving him. So he thought about his sister everywhere, wanting to eat with her if there were delicious things, and playing with her if there were fun things. Yang Xiaoyu also likes her younger brother very much. Perhaps the love of her parents cannot be monopolized, but she also gained the love of her younger brother, and the love she received did not diminish at all. Yang Yu quickly packed his small backpack, carried it on his back, ran to his sister's side, and picked up her hand to go home together. After all, it was the first day of school and my parents were very concerned, waiting at the school gate. Mom and Dad. 2 children ran to their parents. Slow down, don't fall, my mother said with concern. Father called a taxi and went home with his wife and children. The living conditions of Lao Yang's family are quite good, they can afford to raise 2 children, but neither of them knows how to drive, so they didn't buy a car. After arriving home, the father reminded the siblings that today was the first day of their younger brother's school. The parents came to report that in the future, the 2 children would have to take the bus back and forth on their own to school, and urged the sister to take care of the younger brother. Xiaoyu is already in 4th grade, and the school is not far away. The bus stops at Wuzhan Road and it will arrive soon. Previously, I used to take the bus to school alone. Now that I have a younger brother to go to school together, I am very happy. I promise to take good care of my younger brother and pat my chest. My mother said, all right, you two, go take a shower. Mom will make delicious food for you. Okay. Let's wash it together, brother. The parents are very pleased that the sibling relationship is very good, so there is no need to worry about the children's poor relationship and fighting every day. The next day at school, Xiaoyu took Yang Yu's hand and took the bus. In the early morning, there were many people going to work and there were no seats available. The siblings stood in the corner, afraid that their younger brother would be squeezed in, so Xiaoyu hugged Yang Yu in her arms. Yang Yu and his classmates attended the same school in elementary and middle school. Time flies, and Yang Yu has already entered 6th grade. His height growth is almost the same as his peers, and there is nothing special about him. His academic performance is also above average, not particularly outstanding. Yang Yu believes that Mu Xiu will be defeated by Lin Feng and needs to hide her strength to avoid being targeted by bad guys. The spiritual power accumulated over the past few years has been stored in his body, almost enough. When he has enough, he will prepare to wash the meridians and cut off the marrow, and embark on the path of cultivating immortality again. Although his life in recent years has allowed Yang Yu to fully understand the world of technological civilization and learn a lot of scientific knowledge, he never gave up on cultivating immortality. Civilization has no distinction between good and bad, each with its own development direction. But Yang Yu found that in the current world, many people will tire out their bodies due to excessive effort, which is not what he wants. The practice of cultivating immortals, even for beginners who have laid a foundation, can strengthen the body, maintain health, and make one's reaction more sensitive and mind more flexible. Having a good body is also very helpful for exploring the path of technology in the future, so we must persist. Grab with both hands must be hard. Yang Yu wants to embark on a development path of mutual integration of different civilizations. Chapter 4. It's time to pick it up for cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the bus, young Xiaoyu has been feeling down lately. Because I was lectured by my parents at home that I am already in the 3rd grade of junior high school and can no longer take a shower with my younger brother. And considering that I am already in my 3rd year of junior high school, I won't be able to go to school with my younger brother the next year. In 3 years, when I go to college, it will be even harder to see my younger brother. Feeling that the time spent with my younger brother was decreasing day by day, I felt very reluctant, so I hugged my younger brother in front of me tightly. Yang Yu has lived for over 1,000 years in his past life, and one can tell his sister's feelings at a glance. People in this world have laws and regulations that prohibit close relatives from getting married. Sister is older than him, and of course, she is more aware of these. It shouldn't be that taboo idea, it's just a deep affection between siblings. But who can say for sure about emotions? Perhaps, the author suddenly came up to explain that it's not my own siblings. I mentioned some details earlier, but it's not time to break it down yet. Wait a little longer. So Yang Yu also hugged his sister tightly. But it didn't take long to struggle. Woo. Sister. Breathing. The family is good, and the child is not lacking in nutrition, growing up quite quickly. Young Xiaoyu forgot about this and almost suffocated her younger brother. So quickly let go. Yang Yu lifted his head and smiled at his sister. Sister, don't worry, I will always be by your side. Sister was very happy and hugged even tighter. Yang Yu struggled to breathe while calculating the spiritual power he had accumulated. Having accumulated several years of experience in daycare and elementary school, coupled with my excellent breathing skills, the accumulated spiritual power is sufficient to cleanse the meridians and marrow. It's better to choose a day than to collide with it, just today. After returning home from school, I started preparing to wash my meridians and cut my marrow. If there is a spiritual medicine, it requires even less spiritual power, but unfortunately it does not. As a primary school student, Yang Yu has not yet encountered any special things. You should know that there are always some special things like spiritual objects or spiritual herbs. Perhaps there will be some surprises in the deserted mountains and ridges that no one cares about. Because he didn't want the siblings to take a shower together, Yang Yu asked his sister to take a shower first. After waiting for the bathroom on my own, I will recall the steps of spiritual energy running in my body while washing my meridians and marrow. Once I confirm everything is correct, I will wait for the bathroom to become empty. After waiting in the room for a while, my sister finished washing and walked in with a towel, saying, "Brother, it's your turn to wash." Then she sat on the chair and started blowing her hair with a hair dryer. Yang Yu got up and went to the bathroom, taking off all his clothes first. Washing menstruation and marrow will expel impurities from the body, making it difficult to wash clothes. This is also the reason why you choose to wash menstruation and marrow when taking a shower. By the way, it is very convenient. Standing under the shower head, hot water falls from the top of the head, warm and comfortable. At this point, Yang Yu concentrated all the accumulated spiritual power in his body and gathered it at the acupoint called Yin Tang on his head. He then gradually moved downwards along the meridians, reaching the position of his chest, opening up the middle of the mountain, and then downwards, opening up the sea of qi, constructing the elixir field, and staying here. This is the first step. Next, mobilize spiritual power to depart from the dantian and travel to various parts of the body, opening up the unique meridians and 8 meridians throughout the body. Yang Yu has learned that there have also been glorious periods of practice in this world. I don't know if it was due to a lack of spiritual energy that people eventually gave up on the path of cultivation and began to think about how to live in a situation where their own strength is not strong, ultimately choosing the path of technological development. However, there are still some people who persist in practicing, while there are very few who master the previous cultivation methods passed down from their families, but suffer from a lack of spiritual energy and low cultivation results. Generally, they are in the process of refining their body, and a few of them can touch the edge of practicing qi without even building a foundation. At least building a foundation and successfully forming a golden pill is necessary to enter the path of cultivating immortality. The so-called foundation building is a process of converting internal energy into spiritual power. Yang Yu's cultivation method is a summary of many great abilities in the cultivation of the immortal plane. He skipped the step of cultivating internal energy and directly absorbed spiritual energy from the outside world to convert spiritual power, which is equivalent to completing the foundation building at the beginning. Yang Yu circulates spiritual power through his body time and time again, and impurities in his body are gradually eliminated from his pores and washed away with a shower. When the impurities are completely eliminated and the energy in the entire body becomes extremely pure, it declares that the cleansing and marrow cutting have been completed. Yang Yu was worried that it would take too long for his family to worry, so he quickly cleaned it, wrapped it in a towel, and returned to the room. "Why did my younger brother take so long to wash?" Yang Xiaoyu asked curiously. Boys usually take a shower quickly, and when they take a shower together, their younger brother usually finishes quickly. "I took a shower for over an hour this time, longer than myself." Yang Yu scratched his head and chuckled, "I'm not used to not having my sister help wash it. I always feel like my back can't be cleaned properly and I can't see it. It took me some extra time." Yang Yu's house has 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, with 1 bedroom for his parents and 1 shared room for his 2 children. Both rooms have a large double bed. As my older sister has already developed, my parents are currently considering adding a curtain to the room. Because my sister is going to high school soon and needs to live on campus, she won't have to change houses. Just stick with it for a while. Yang Yu also thought about it. After all, he wanted to cultivate himself. Although his soul strength was extremely high, his physical body and magic had not yet been practiced. Some cultivation methods would produce some strange phenomena, such as shining all over his body. If his family saw them, it would be difficult to explain. When Yang Yu was very young, he once told his family about his ability to cultivate immortality, saying that he dreamed of an old immortal and taught him the magic of cultivating immortality. The parents only chuckled when they heard it, treating it as their child's dream and not taking it seriously at all. After encountering the scientific outlook on development, Yang Yu knew that he had to keep it a secret and couldn't bring it up again. He just secretly practiced it himself. Fortunately, the tuna breathing technique is integrated into daily breathing, allowing for practice and free movement even during sleep. There is no interruption, and it does not cause problems such as getting angry or possessed. In today's young people's terms, it is a passive skill. Unless I was held too tightly by my sister like in the morning, my face was buried in soft parts, and I couldn't breathe, so I interrupted for a moment. But that's just an introductory breathing technique for children. Now that you have completed washing your meridians and marrow, you can use the more advanced, youth basic chapter chi practice method. Every pore above and below the body can independently absorb spiritual energy from the air like breathing and breathing techniques, transforming it into its own spiritual energy stored in the dantian and meridians. This is an upgraded version of the passive skill, which is more efficient. If encountering spiritual fruits and herbs rich in spiritual energy, or pills refined by experts to enhance cultivation, it is necessary to cooperate with the efficient absorption method to promote absorption through meditation and exercise, and the effect is much better than simply eating them. After washing the meridians and slaying the marrow, the speed of spiritual energy absorption will become faster and faster, and some basic spells can now be used. Yang Yu used small spells to strengthen his family's body and prevent diseases through close contact while pounding his father's back, helping his mother wash dishes, and playing with his sister. Recently, I often hear my dad praise my mom for being younger and more beautiful. I often hear my mother praise my father for his skills at night. Sister Yang Xiaoyu's body is also very healthy. Although she is a slender girl, she has no feeling of weakness at all. Her body is flexible and strong, and she hardly gets sick. Even the days when she feels uncomfortable every month are only slightly uncomfortable, and she won't feel so much pain. It seems that the effect is very stable and has not been strengthened too much at once, making it shocking. Yang Yu feels that his spell control ability is still very excellent. But there is one more issue. Sister Yang Xiaoyu is about to graduate from junior high school soon. Although she has excellent grades and doesn't need to worry about going to high school, her reluctance towards her younger brother is becoming stronger. The room is equipped with curtains that separate the bed from the middle, allowing both siblings to have their own private space. But as soon as the lights are turned off, Xiaoyu will crawl to her younger brother's side and must hold him to sleep soundly. Xiaoyu has mentioned more than once that if she goes to high school, she can only see her younger brother on weekends every week, and her sleep quality may deteriorate. Yang Yu was also wondering if there was any way to comfort his sister without being too shocking. Every day I use my powers to visit my sister. Just say you came by bus, it's not impossible. Or, into a dream. The spell of entering a dream is a technique used by immortals to seek peace and share their experiences with their families while exploring the world on a long journey. Qianli Chuanin can only convey one paragraph, and cannot say too long content. The advantage is that it can be used and sent at any time. The prerequisite for entering a dream is to sleep, and both individuals are in a sleeping state in order to connect with the dream and engage in conversation and interaction. When immortals explore the world, there may not always be a safe place to rest. Even if they are hiding in a space treasure, there is a possibility of being targeted by demon beasts. After all, demon beasts can also use treasures for cultivation. In this world, it is still relatively safe at night, and people can sleep peacefully. So this dream spell can be used. Yang Yu broke free from his sister's embrace, holding her pretty face in both hands and kissing her forehead. By using this contact, you can leave your mark in your sister's soul, and then cast dreams or other spells to quickly find her, which is very convenient. Xiaoyu was extremely happy when she saw her younger brother take the initiative to kiss her. She hugged her brother and kissed him left and right, making his face drool. That night, Xiaoyu dreamed that her younger brother ran towards her, took her hand, and played with her everywhere. Xiaoyu is very happy, her sleep quality has greatly improved, and when she wakes up in the morning, she is full of energy and her learning efficiency has improved significantly. Yang Yu, because he had already completed the cleansing and marrow cutting, had a certain level of strength to protect himself, so he no longer kept a low profile and grew rapidly. His exam results also improved significantly. During the summer vacation, when Yang Yu graduated from primary school and his sister graduated from junior high school. In just a few months, Yang Yu's height has grown from 1.4 meters to 1.55 meters, almost catching up with his sister's height of 1.6 meters. His academic performance is also among the top, and he always ranks in the top 3 in every exam. This is because he was worried that a perfect score in science would scare the teacher and deliberately left his hand behind. There is no need to elaborate on the entrance exam. With the spiritual power left by Yang Yu, my sister Yang Xiaoyu was completely calm and confident. She performed exceptionally well in the exam and successfully entered a key high school in this city. Yang Yu also graduated from elementary school with good grades and entered middle school. Both children went to school smoothly and their grades were excellent. Lao Yang and his family were very happy. Taking advantage of the children's summer vacation, the couple also took a leave to take them on a trip. Parents asked the 2 children what they want to play with. Yang Yu spoke up and said, "Climbing." Xiaoyu said that it's okay to go anywhere with her younger brother. After discussing with the family, they decided to go to Changbai Mountain in the northeast, mainly based on Yang Yu's suggestion. In the process of understanding the world, Yang Yu has read many articles and books. Most of the cultural works describing Changbai Mountain have some mysterious elements, such as animals becoming spirits, Tianqi monsters, ginseng running, and so on. These things are somewhat related. If there are herbs at the level of spiritual medicine that animals accidentally consume, there is indeed a chance for animals to embark on the path of cultivation. So Yang Yu plans to go and see if there is any chance, and it happens that his parents have arranged a trip, which is Changbai Mountain. I heard that Changbai Mountain has a high altitude and can experience temperature fluctuations, so my family of 4 brought warm and thick clothes, bought some food and water, and prepared well. The next morning, a family of 4 boarded the train to the northeast. Young Xiaoyu was very excited when she went out such a long way for the first time, holding on to her younger brother and talking endlessly. Yang Yu has also been out in his past life, so he is relatively less excited. At that time, using true qi to strengthen the body for a short distance, using the light body technique to run over, it would take more than 10 miles and minutes to reach. If you go further, you will use a flying sword, which consumes a lot of mana but is very fast. It can be reached for thousands of miles in just a few breaths. If it's really far away, then you have to go to the teleportation station in the center of the town. As long as there are other teleportation stations, even if they are thousands of miles apart, they can arrive in an instant, and the fee is cheap, just for an early meal. However, this is the first time in my life that I have traveled far, and my understanding of this world is still limited to listening to others tell me. Only by seeing it with my own eyes can I know the specific situation and whether it is as described by others. Yang Yu and his sister chatted while eating snacks. After more than 7 hours of train travel, there was no feeling of fatigue at all. After getting off the car, Yang Yu sighed inwardly that people in this world could develop such a magical creation without any magical power. It took over 2,500 miles to reach it in half a day, and anyone could use it as long as they bought tickets. When my own magical power was not strong enough in my past life, I couldn't control a flying sword. Technology has its benefits, it's so convenient. I heard there are airplanes that can fly in the sky at a faster speed. Let's experience it next time, Yang Yu thought. I took a taxi to the pre-booked hotel. It was not yet dark, so the family took a stroll around and found a restaurant to taste the local specialties of northeast China. The shop's business is good, and before dinner time, the guests are almost full. The family ordered the dishes, but after a short wait, the dishes arrived, including meat, vegetables, and cold dishes. The whole family doesn't need to be polite, just shake off your cheeks and it's a joke. One of the characteristics of northeastern cuisine is that it has ample portions, and the dish ordered is stewed big bones. The meat bones are served in a bowl. The family accepted the shop's suggestion and ordered a lot of dishes, so they decided not to order the main course for now, fearing that they wouldn't finish it. Father picked up a piece of meat bone with chopsticks, making it inconvenient to eat no matter what. The shop reminds you to grab it with your hands and eat it, then wash your hands after finishing. Looking at the guests at other tables, when they ordered this stewed big bone, they also ate it with their hands. The whole family followed the local customs and learned to pick up meat and bones to eat. Taking a bite, Yang Yu's eyes lit up. This meat was not only delicious to stew, but also had a faint spiritual energy inside. It seems that this trip will definitely bring rewards. Chapter 5. Sneaking out to play in the midnight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After being strengthened by Yang Yu's spiritual power, the family members became more sensitive in their senses and tasted that this stewed big bone was somewhat special. Father spoke up and asked, "Boss, your big bone stew is really fragrant. It has a special aroma inside. Do you have any secret spices?" The boss's face was full of pride. This stewed pork ribs is our signature dish, a traditional recipe that includes not only regular spices but also some local Chinese herbs from Changbai Mountain. It not only enhances the aroma but also benefits the body. Of course, the specific recipe cannot be too detailed, please forgive me. Understanding is a unique secret recipe. My father suddenly became interested in tonic diet. He thought about trying it when he went home and found some tonic diet recipe to see if it was delicious. However, my father's skills are average, and cooking at home still depends on my mother's skills. Fortunately, many recipes can be found online now, and if you follow them without making any changes, they generally won't taste bad. The rapid sharing of information is also a convenience brought by technological civilization. Yang Yu sighed at the greatness of technological civilization while quickly stuffing delicious food into his mouth. This meat is really delicious. Soft, rotten and flavorful. This vegetable is also very delicious. Crisp, sweet, and fragrant. One bite after another can't stop at all. Sister Xianxia, too, kept stuffing her food into her mouth, completely ignoring her words. After eating and drinking enough, the family went around again and bought some things that they might need for hiking tomorrow, and then returned to the hotel. The summer vacation is the peak season for tourism, with a large number of tourists. The family finally managed to book 2 adjacent rooms, one for the parents and one for the 2 children. The interior of the room is clean and tidy, quite nice. At night, a family of 4 were playing cards and entertainment in their parents' room, and those who lost had to stick notes on their faces. In a family of 4, the father has the most facial patches, whether it's his gentleness or his bad luck. Until around 10 o'clock at night, the father began urging the children to go back to sleep. Tomorrow we still have to climb the mountain. Let's rest early. Okay. Return to the room, lock the doors and windows, and prepare to take a shower and sleep. Sister, let's go first. It's been a long time since we washed together, let's do it together. I used to take a shower together every day, and I didn't find anything strange. I haven't washed together for a while, but suddenly we're together again, feeling a wonderful freshness. Yang Yu turned on the shower and tried whether the water temperature would be cold or hot. After confirming that there were no issues, he first rinsed his sister with water, then applied shower gel and rubbed it with both hands. While rubbing her back, quietly inject some spiritual power into the meridians behind her sister. These spiritual powers can circulate throughout the body along the meridians, although they may not reach the level of cleansing the meridians and marrow, they can still strengthen the body. Considering the late night activities for a while, I decided to strengthen my sister first to avoid physical exhaustion. After Yang Yu washed his sister first, it was her turn to wash him. Yang Xiaoyu sighed as she rubbed and said, "I've grown up really fast this year. Last summer, I was even one head shorter than me, and now I'm almost catching up with you. My shoulders are also wider than before, becoming stronger and stronger." Yang Yu chuckled and said, "Once I grow tall and strong, I can protect my sister." Xiaoyu's heart was filled with joy upon hearing this, and she hugged her up. Thinking she was taking a shower, she quickly let go and her face turned slightly red. Looking back, "I'll give you a rub on the front as well." "No need, I can rub it on the front myself." "I'm afraid you won't rub it clean, come on." Yang Yu has been washed by his sister since childhood and has long been accustomed to it. "Sister, please be gentle and don't make me feel red and swollen." "Pa. My sister slapped me on the shoulder." "Poor mouth, hurry up and wash it out, be careful not to catch a cold." The two of them finished washing, wrapped themselves in towels and came out. Yang Yu picked up a hair dryer and blew his sister's hair. "My short hair doesn't need to be blown dry, and it quickly dries after wiping. However, my sister Yang Xiaoyu's hair is a bit long, and it's easy to catch a cold without blowing dry after washing. My sister usually wears ponytails when going out, but now they are loose and over the shoulder length, not to the waist level." Yang Yu was holding a hair dryer and flipping it in his hand. His sister's hair was of good quality, without any dryness or rashness, and it felt very good to the touch. "From time to time, massage some of the meridians on my sister's head, quietly conveying a little spiritual power into her, nourishing her brain, making her mind more flexible and learning more efficient." Yang Xiaoyu enjoys his little brother's head massage very much. The massage technique is quite awesome. Xiaoyu is so comfortable that she hums. Yes. It's over there. It's so comfortable." The author suddenly interjected that if you are not familiar with head massage and don't know how comfortable it is, you can purchase a head massage device called a soul extractor and experience it yourself. This article does not include commercial promotion and there is no link. The warm time lasted for a while, the hair dried, and the siblings changed into pajamas, lying down and turning off the lights. It's already past 11 o'clock, and the good children have already fallen asleep. But there are two little rascals here who haven't slept yet. Yang Xiaoyu lay on her side, her eyes wide open, without any intention of sleeping, not at all sleepy. "After all, it's the first time I've traveled such a long distance, and I'm very excited. I want to chat more with my younger brother." Yang Yu closed his eyes and regained his composure, looking as if he was about to fall asleep. Xiaoyu touched her little brother's hair and asked, "Did you fall asleep, little brother? Come and talk." Yang Yu lifted his head from the softness and made a shush sound, telling his sister to keep it down as the hotel's sound insulation was not very good. At the same time, he reached out and pointed to the neighboring parents' room. In fact, the sound insulation of this hotel is quite good, but Yang Yu has strengthened the physical fitness of his family and made his senses more sensitive. As long as he focuses, even small sounds can be heard clearly. Yang Xiaoyu also quieted down and listened carefully to the voice next door. Not to mention that she hasn't paid attention yet, she calmed down and listened carefully. She could really hear her parents talking at this moment. "Why don't we go to bed today? I've been on the train all day and it's quite tiring. I have to take the children hiking tomorrow, so it must be very tiring," said the mother. "Perhaps the medicinal herbs placed in the stewed bones at night were very nourishing, and now I am very energetic, feeling like my whole body is full of energy," said my father. "Then, let's have a round," Mother whispered. Not long after, the mother hummed a song softly, while the father seemed to be exercising, and his breathing became louder. "Damn it! This bad kid." Yang Xiaoyu blushed and scolded, "You're still young. Don't listen to this, go to bed. Don't sleep yet, wait a little longer." "No way. Sleep. Be obedient." Xiaoyu reached out and lightly patted the little brother's head. Yang Yu buried his face again in the softness, rubbed left and right, found a comfortable position, and closed his eyes to rest. There is a reason for the sleeping position of the siblings. When Yang Yu was very young, there was a time when his father needed to go on a business trip for a few days. He could take care of his family, so he brought his mother with him. His father and mother really have a good relationship, so he also had to bring them with him on business trips. So he asked Yang Xiaoyu to take care of his younger brother, and when he was hungry, he went to the convenience store to buy boxed meals for a few days. At that time, Yang Xiaoyu had just entered middle school and had been accustomed to taking care of her younger brother for 4 years. She patted her chest to ensure that she would take good care of her younger brother. Afterwards, the siblings went to school and returned from school to buy convenience store boxed meals, and everything was normal. Apart from the average taste of boxed meals, it is far inferior to my mother's craftsmanship. After taking a shower together, they lay side by side on the bed, ready to fall asleep. The first time he caught up with his parents who were not at home, Yang Yu somehow remembered his parents from a previous life. He walked in a hurry and didn't say goodbye to them, feeling a bit sad and losing a few small pearls. There are not many cases where my father needs to travel for work, and most of the time he goes on the same day and returns on the same day. This is also the first time he needs to travel for several days. Yang Xiaoyu felt a bit nervous when she thought of taking care of her younger brother for several days. Fortunately, my younger brother is usually very well behaved and not mischievous. He is also very close to her sister, so taking care of her alone for a few days should not be a problem. Thinking of her younger brother, she turned her head and glanced at him. What is the situation? Why is the little brother crying? Xiaoyu suddenly became nervous. Did you miss your parents, little brother? How to comfort children when they cry? Is it possible to open the computer now to search for information? It's quite urgent, waiting online. Xiaoyu remembered that when my little brother was a baby, whenever he cried, his mother would breastfeed him. Eating milk immediately stops crying. Is this method effective? But I didn't either. Unable to handle so much, Xiaoyu loosened the straps of her pajamas, turned over, and hugged her little brother in her arms. Yang Yu was startled and immediately realized that he had dropped a small pearl, which worried his sister. But it has to be said that it really works. Yang Yu leaned against the softness that had just begun to grow, listening to his sister's heartbeat. He really calmed down and felt a sense of peace in his heart, sleeping soundly. Since then, Xiaoyu has been sleeping with her little brother in her arms. Of course, pajamas are still well worn. Outside the window, the moonlight is like water. The commotion next door is more alluring than the night. Young Xiaoyu hugged her little brother, feeling itchy in her heart, as if there was a little cat scratching around. With the development of technology, civilization, and the internet, whether you want to watch or not, there is always some information that enters your field of vision with advertisements. She has a clear idea of the commotion next door, and she occasionally plays single-player games herself. Did you fall asleep, little brother? After watching for a while, the little brother remained completely silent. So Xiaoyu tried to pull out the right hand under his neck. Xiaoyu's usual right hand. And looked at him again. It was good, there was no movement, and he fell asleep. So Xiaoyu held her little brother with her left hand and started a single-player game with her right hand. The game starts, it is a single-player mini-game for monster hunting and treasure hunting. Due to the difficulty of one-handed operation, Xiaoyu gave up completely exploring and made a choice. Looking towards the distant mountain range, the Demon Realm Emperor was dormant there, and if he was alarmed, the game might have ended directly. So Xiaoyu decisively gave up the mountain range and manipulated the character to pass through the plain and walk towards the river. The river is a dangerous area with no trees on both sides, making it impossible to hide one's body. Therefore, it cannot be rushed too hard and is prone to injury. Moreover, it is currently in a period of rising water, and there will be a loud sound when briskly charging in the water flow, which may attract the attention of the Demon Emperor. Xiaoyu took a step-by-step approach, exploring slowly while ensuring safety, and had gained a lot. She was afraid of startling the Demon Emperor, so she dared not cheer loudly. As the game progresses, the clouds and mist on the mountains gradually disperse. Xiaoyu thought for a moment and decided to use the skill, Cloud-Piercing Hand, to disperse the clouds and mist on the mountain peak. Now you can intuitively see the Demon Emperor climbing on the mountain to sleep. Sister is playing single-player games again. Yang Yugen was not asleep, muttering in his heart. Unlike Yang Yu, who had practiced for thousands of years in his previous life and had astonishing composure, his sister Yang Xiaoyu was an ordinary young person, so Yang Yu also expressed understanding of his love for games. Yang Yu didn't disturb his sister's pleasure, but instead his breathing became longer, as if he was truly asleep. Looking at the Demon World Emperor, Yang Xiaoyu felt that it was a bit inappropriate to push aside the clouds. Not only could she see the Demon World Emperor directly, but he could also perceive her directly. However, as long as you can visually see the status of the Demon Realm Emperor, you can also terminate the game in a timely manner, and there is no problem. Yang Xiaoyu continued to explore, and based on her understanding of the game venue, the reason why the river was swollen was because there was a spring at the end. If you can dive against the spring water with your breath held, you can explore more treasures. But at this moment, the entrance of the spring eye was sealed by a barrier emitting holy power, and the spring water could flow out from the gap of the barrier. However, Xiaoyu did not have enough courage to break through the barrier and explore. What did she touch? During the game, Xiaoyu's back of hand seemed to have touched something. She paused the game to look over, and couldn't see anything in the dark. Due to the inconvenience of using her right hand to control the game, Xiaoyu extended her left hand to explore. Damn it! So, what did this stinky kid dream about? Or did I wake him up with too much movement? Yang Xiaoyu was startled and quickly checked his condition. Silent, breathing long, sleeping soundly. Xiaoyu breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe I heard the sound from the next door before going to bed, which made my little brother dream some strange dream. The game continues. During her exploration, Xiaoyu discovered that the weapon of the Demon Emperor, the Demon Emperor Totem Pillar, had been left nearby. This was a legendary weapon that Xiaoyu had never obtained before. As she approached it, she could feel the astonishing heat, as if lava was flowing inside. I was just startled by my little brother, this stinky kid. Yang Xiaoyu thought to herself, but this weapon is really amazing. Generally speaking, players cannot directly obtain it. Although the Demon Emperor is sleeping over there, if I take his weapon, he will definitely sense it. If I don't take it away, I will secretly touch it. It should be. Okay. With this thought, Xiaoyu held the Demon Emperor Totem Pillar with her left hand. Suddenly, Yang Yu moved. He held down his sister's left hand. Little brother. Yang Xiaoyu was startled, her hand trembled, and she directly clicked the end button of the game, entering the settlement state. She felt like she had lost her soul, and her mind was blank. Zhang took a few breaths, and Xiaoyu finally regained her senses and looked at her younger brother. At this moment, Yang Yu suddenly opened his eyes and sat up, unbuttoning his pajamas and taking them off. Is the barrier about to be broken? Yang Xiaoyu thought, contemplating the possibility of immigrating to Germany. Yang Yu lowered his head and leaned in close to his sister's ear, calling out softly, "Sister, get up and change your clothes. Let's go out and play." Chapter 6. Little Secrets Between Siblings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Yu lowered his head and leaned in close to his sister's ear, calling out softly, "Sister, get up and change your clothes. Let's go out and play." Speaking, he changed into a shirt and pants, and found a long-sleeved hoodie to wear. Although it was summer, it was still very cold to go up the mountain at night. Yang Xiaoyu sat up, her face flushed and her heart in turmoil. I don't know how much I see or how much I know. I may not necessarily understand single-player games, but when Xiaoyu pinched the Demon Emperor Totem Pillar, he was caught in action. Yang Yu opened the suitcase and took out his sister's protective soft armor, cute little bear chubby times, T-dot shirts and pants, long-sleeved hoodies, as well as a pack of non-alcoholic wet tissues and handed them to her. Quickly tidy up and change off your pajamas, she said, grabbing Xiaoyu's pajama pants and pulling them off to take to the bathroom for washing. Xiaoyu was so shy that she covered her face with her hands. Damn it, little brother knows everything. Showering is not as embarrassing as being seen naked. However, looking at the way my little brother doesn't care at all, Xiaoyu doesn't have much to care about either. She has always been carefree in front of me, and this matter was quickly put aside by her. Take out a few wet tissues to clean up, change into clothes, and put on shoes. Coincidentally, the younger brother has also washed his pajamas and hung them on a hanger at the window. When the sun comes out, he can directly dry them. Yang Yu picked up his sister's hand and patted her, saying, "Let's go, let's go." With these 2 taps, he applied a small invisible spell to his sister, and the people around him could not perceive their existence unless they were stronger than the caster. In today's world, it is estimated that few people can see through it. Xiaoyu opened the door and looked stealthily to the left and right. Seeing no one around, she tugged at her brother's hand. The 2 of them slipped out of the hotel and went out to play. It was already past midnight, and when I left the hotel and arrived on the street, the lights were still brightly lit. There were still many people strolling along the road, and people gathered at street stalls to drink and chat. Yang Yu pulled his sister and walked under the street lamp. Young Xiaoyu had been daydreaming for a while, her mind full of thoughts about playing online games with her younger brother. She was mentally calculating the possibility of immigrating to Germany. Going out to play. Suddenly, Xiaoyu reacted and asked, "Little brother, where are we going to play when we come out in the middle of the night?" Yang Yu chuckled and said, "Go to Changbai Mountain." Going at night. Do you want to step on it earlier? There is still a way to the foot of Changbai Mountain and we need to take a taxi. It's probably not easy to take a taxi for most of the night, right? It would be great to go with my parents tomorrow. Xiaoyu didn't understand my younger brother's arrangement. Yang Yu didn't answer the question and instead asked his sister, "A few years ago, I dreamt of an old immortal teaching me how to cultivate immortality. Do you remember this?" This excuse he planned to use for a lifetime. Of course I remember, your kid has a lot of imagination. Yang Yu smiled and said, "Don't be too surprised about what's going on." As she spoke, she bent down and picked up her sister effortlessly in the princess's embrace, as if holding a plush doll. Ah! Xiaoyu was startled and exclaimed, "I'm really strong." Yang Yu reminded, "Hold me tight, it may be a bit fast later." She started running forward as she spoke. Xiaoyu felt the street lights on both sides quickly retreat, and was so scared that she quickly hugged her little brother's neck. Is this my little brother holding me running? Why is it so fast? The speed of the street lights retreat reminded Xiaoyu of the high-speed train she took on her way to northeast China. Xiaoyu widened her eyes and stared at her little brother's face. "Little brother, are you really cultivating immortality?" Yang Yufei ran quickly, not even panting, and said to his sister, "It's just cultivation. It's still far from immortality." In his past life, Yang Yu spent over 1,000 years in such a resource-rich world to reach the early stage of Mahayana. He never survived and could only be called a cultivator, not considered an immortal. In this world, with such a lack of spiritual energy, it is even difficult for the entire planet to reach a primordial stage. The people here do not have the excellent martial arts mastered by Yang Yu. They need to practice for 60 or 70 years in a foundation building period, and they must have good talents. Unless they spend a lot of resources to build, they have the opportunity to break through to a higher level. And in Yang Yu's past life, building this foundation was a pill, and it was not even counted as a cultivation level by the cultivation world. After a few minutes of high-speed running, Yang Yu took his sister to the foot of Changbai Mountain. Of course, it was not a regular tourist route. This is a simple mountain slope without a mountain path. Yang Yu looked around and found a flat area. He quickly climbed up the mountain wall with a few steps, and then let his sister down. Yang Xiaoyu was still in a state of shock, her eyes wide open. Yang Yu waved his hand in front of his sister and shouted, "Sister, I've regained my soul." Yang Xiaoyu waved her hand in front of her and then reached out with both hands, grabbing her younger brother's face and pulling it in front of her. "Teach me. I also want to learn." Yang Yu also held his sister's face and said, "Okay, I wanted to teach you a long time ago, but you didn't believe me back then. But it's not too late now." Yang Yu paused for a moment and continued, "I originally wanted to teach my parents, but they have missed the best opportunity to practice and the effect is not good. Fortunately, my sister is still young and can learn." Yang Xiaoyu thought for a moment and said, "Maybe you still don't believe what you said to your parents now. I've seen in mythological stories that cultivating immortality is based on fate, and only by having a connection with immortality can one cultivate immortality. Do I also have this connection with immortality?" Yang Yu chuckled and said, "What is destined for immortality? It's all deceiving ordinary people. Cultivating immortality depends on talent, resources, and the master's teaching of powerful techniques. There isn't necessarily one person among trillions who can understand the path of cultivating immortality on their own." Xiaoyu suddenly became depressed and said, "Can I still have a chance to cultivate into a fairy?" Yang Yu comforted and said, "Those are all statements that apply to ordinary people. Sister's fairy tale, I may have dreamed of an old immortal. Are you my sister? Mine is yours. There is no secret between us siblings from childhood to adulthood." Yang Xiaoyu burst out laughing, it was indeed like this. However, the statement, "mine is yours," is not false at all, and Xiaoyu did the same. She and her brother have always been like this, sharing everything. So I stopped thinking about cultivating immortals and just waited for my younger brother to introduce me. Xiaoyu asked, "What are you doing when you come to Changbai Mountain at night? You're not just strolling around, are you?" Yang Yu told his sister about his thoughts. There is a lack of spiritual energy in the world and no decent spiritual medicine. He came to the mountains to find opportunities. Upon hearing this, Xiaoyu became interested and took her little brother to find the elixir. Yang Yu quickly called out to his sister and gave her some small auxiliary spells, including various spells such as mosquito repellent, night vision, lightness, and warmth protection. Yang Xiaoyu felt that his younger brother had already looked like a fairy, and with a wave of his hand, he gave himself a bunch of enhanced skills. Before I could feel the effect of anything else, I immediately felt the night vision. Although the things were still black, they were no longer pitch black. I could clearly see the surrounding scenery and distinguish the round objects that fell to the ground, not coins but bottle caps. Why is there a bottle cap? This is not a normal mountain road, is it? Xiaoyu looked up and found a small path above. Maybe it was thrown down by unscrupulous tourists, it's annoying enough. Yang Yu also saw the bottle cap and frowned slightly. Littering is not a good habit and affects the environment. With a thought, the bottle cap made a small explosion sound and turned into fly ash. Xiaoyu clapped loudly, "Is your younger brother already so powerful? This is completely a fairy trick." For small spells like this, the previous beginner breathing technique requires storing spiritual power for a long time before it can be used once. After washing the meridians and marrow, one can use the basic qi refining method, which is equivalent to every pore in the body absorbing spiritual energy for oneself, with an efficiency tens of thousands of times stronger than the breathing method of breathing. Nowadays, small spells can be used casually, and coupled with the absurdly high soul power, even the great moves of previous lives can be used in 1 or 2 moves. Yang Yu looked inside at the sea of Dantian Qi in his lower abdomen, with spiritual power filling up and circulating throughout his body, making his body increasingly powerful. Looking at the sea of consciousness on his head, Yang Yu discovered that the sea of energy was full, and he was afraid of wasting any excess spiritual power, thus opening up another sea of soul consciousness. Perhaps the soul is too powerful, and this sea of consciousness, no matter how much spiritual power it absorbs, has no intention of being fully filled. If it weren't for being able to call it up freely, Yang Yu would suspect that his spiritual power might have been lost. Yang Yu looked around and said to his sister, "Conventional routes don't have much chance. They have already been developed by the tourism department. We need to find places that ordinary people can only go to. The road is not easy to walk, so let me carry your back." Yang Yu squatted down as she spoke, and Xiao Yu jumped up with a whoosh. She wrapped her hands around her neck, wrapped her legs around her waist, and made a firm and tight embrace. Yang Yu dragged his sister's leg to prevent it from slipping down, and then began to exert the power of soul induction. The massive soul power dispersed in all directions. If encountering a spiritual grass or fruit with a certain degree of spiritual energy, Yang Yu would sense it and rush over. "Good luck, there is a spirit grass not far from the left front." Yang Yu rushed over and pulled up the spiritual grass, looking at an inconspicuous one. However, by chance, he accumulated a lot of spiritual energy that could be used. Seal the spiritual grass with a little spiritual power to prevent the loss of spiritual power, then put it in the pocket of your clothes. It's still troublesome if you don't have spatial ability. Try to improve your strength as soon as possible, Yang Yu thought to himself. Creating spatial treasures is very difficult and requires a certain level of hard power to control. Accurately manipulating spatial power requires a strong soul, as well as a large amount of magic to create the Sumra space. That's right, it's magic, not spiritual power. At least you need to enter the golden elixir stage to convert spiritual power into magic. There is still a long way to go. Yang Yu continued to run with his sister on his back. Young Xiao Yu couldn't see any difference between the spiritual grass just now and ordinary weeds. "Is this the spirit grass? Does it taste better than ordinary grass?" Xiao Yu asked. Yang Yu replied, "No, I don't eat grass. What I eat is the spiritual energy it contains. Of course, good spiritual medicines can be eaten directly and are also very delicious. Currently, this can only be said to be grass containing spiritual energy. Eating it will not absorb much spiritual energy, but it also contains many impurities. It's better to directly extract the spiritual energy. Why didn't you just draw out your spiritual energy directly?" Yang Xiaoyu was very curious. Yang Yu patiently answered, "Just one tree is too few. It's better to collect more points and draw spiritual energy together for better efficiency." As he spoke, he sensed another spirit grass, which was a bit far away. Yang Yu ran towards it in that direction. Xiao Yu seems to be a bit tired, not holding her hands and feet tightly enough, and she is slipping a bit. Yang Yu lifted his sister's leg upwards. Arriving nearby, I found this spirit grass growing on a cliff. Yang Yu first put down his sister. The steep cliffs are risky to carry her on her back. If she doesn't catch her, falling off will be troublesome. It's more reliable to go up alone. Sister, please wait here and don't run around. I'll be back soon, Yang Yu said and climbed up the mountain wall. Xiao Yu looked at her younger brother with some worry, but when she saw him climbing up like Spider-Man in a movie, she breathed a sigh of relief. My younger brother is really amazing. I must let him teach me when I go back. Xiao Yu thought. Yang Yu pulled out the spiritual grass, applied spiritual power to seal it, put it in his pocket, and then jumped down directly, landing with a light body technique. Young Xiao Yu applauded wildly beside her and said, I'm so handsome. Let my sister kiss me. She leaned over and took a hard sip on Yang Yu's face. Yang Yu rubbed his sister's face and turned to squat down, come up quickly. Tonight, find more spiritual herbs. Maybe even the portion for my sister can make up for it. Really? Xiaoyu jumped onto Yang Yu's back and hugged him tightly. Then hurry up and leave. I also want to become an immortal. Yang Yu picked up his sister and ran towards the next spiritual grass, reminding her as he ran, it's okay to teach you, but don't use it everywhere. It's shocking to the world and people will take you and slice you for research. Young Xiaoyu trembled with fear and said, don't worry, you won't use it recklessly. He then asked, if my sister is caught by bad people, will you come to save her? Yang Yu chuckled and reached out to grab his sister's hand, saying, of course I will save you, but there shouldn't be any chance of being caught. As long as the bad guys dare to come, I will help my sister drive them all away. I have said I will protect my sister, and if the bad guys want to take her away, they must step over my body. If the bad guys can't drive her away, they will be eliminated directly. This sentence remained silent in my heart. Little brother, that's great. Yang Xiaoyu felt warm in her heart. Suddenly she remembered something, my little brother knows magic. Night vision, she whispered, when I was lying down just now, did you see my sister? What did you see, sister? Yang Yu looked innocent. Just seeing my sister playing single-player games. Yang Xiaoyu felt a little hot on her face. Oh, you said that, Yang Yu suddenly realized. I didn't see clearly. I don't know what my sister is doing. Pa. Xiaoyu angrily patted him on the shoulder. Don't play dumb for me. Tell the truth. To be honest. I saw it very clearly. Yang Yu knew he couldn't pretend anymore and nodded to answer truthfully. When did you start seeing it? Xiaoyu continued to ask. In your first year of junior high school, one day when your parents were not at home, you used your dad's computer to search for information. It was that day, Yang Yu remembered clearly. When his sister was taking a shower for him, there was a place where she rubbed it very hard and it swelled up. Little rascal. I thought you were asleep. I let you see. Xiaoyu hammered her brother's shoulder twice in anger. Then I felt a little sorry for my little brother and rubbed the area I had just hammered before hugging his neck again. Don't tell your parents. Xiaoyu reminded. Yes. Follow your sister's orders. Afterwards, the topic stopped and Yang Yu focused on collecting spiritual herbs. In just 1 hour, he collected more than 10. Yang Xiaoyu said that nature is really wonderful. It looks like ordinary grass, but these dozen or so trees are different. They may become materials for his siblings to cultivate immortality. It's almost 1:30 p.m. late at night, it's time to go back and rest. Xiaoyu hopes his younger brother can be more creative. Yang Yu mentioned that he will be traveling for several days and can come back later. So the two of them prepared to return to the hotel. Yang Yu was running in the mountains, while his sister lay on her back, seeming a bit sleepy. Her voice was a bit soft and lacking in energy. Do you like your sister, little brother? Of course I do, Yang Yu replied without hesitation. So. Will sister accompany you to play multiplayer games? Oh. Is it the 2-player online game I was thinking of? Yang Yu smiled and raised his hands to make a grip on the controller, pressing it a few times with his thumb. Yes, it's the 2-player online game you think of. Xiaoyu also smiled and raised her hands to make a grip on the controller. Both of them could sense the implied meaning from each other's words. Is that okay? Sure, but not yet. We need to wait. Xiaoyu doesn't know what the younger brother has in mind, but it seems to be able to solve the problem she has considered. This may become a little secret for the siblings. Chapter 7. Accompanying family on mountaineering and purchasing goods along the way. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Yu had another secret in his heart that he didn't tell his sister. Yang Yu's soul power is super strong, and coupled with the recent cleansing and marrow cutting, his perception ability has been further enhanced. Now he can to some extent see some details of the soul. For example, what kind of relatives are present in the souls of others is one of the details. He looked at himself and found the figures of his current parents in his soul. Looking further, there seemed to be several elderly figures, probably grandparents and maternal grandparents. However, for some reason, his parents had never taken them back to visit their relatives. Perhaps it is related to blood relatives in this life, unable to see parents in previous lives. Moreover, I can't see my sister Xianxia either. He looked at his sister and found herself alone in his soul, without a younger brother, parents, or anyone else. So it seems that sister Xianxia was adopted after her family passed away. And it happened when she was very young, because Xianxia didn't have those memories. Yu couldn't say a word about his sister's background speculation. If one day an explanation is needed, it's also up to his parents. After all, when his sister met his parents, Yu was still cultivating immortality in another dimension. Yu only believes in one thing. If his sister is good to him, he should also be good to her. Sister Xiaoyu has been overshadowed by him in her lifetime. Returning to the hotel, it was already almost 2 o'clock in the latter half of the night. Even with my younger brother's spell blessing, Xiaoyu was already too tired to open her eyes. Yu carried his sister into the room and took off his shoes. Xiaoyu collapsed on the bed, wanting to fall asleep. But suddenly I remembered that I was wearing outdoor clothes, not pajamas. Wearing a coat while sleeping will cause wrinkles to appear, so I won't be able to wear it tomorrow. So he struggled to sit up again and shouted. "Little brother, take care of your sister to change clothes." Fortunately, invisibility spells not only allow for invisibility, but also conceal the sound of speech. Otherwise, the parents next door might have heard it. "Help my sister remove her top, shirt, and soft armor, and then put on pajamas." Xiaoyu collapsed directly on the bed, lifted one leg, and shouted to her younger brother, "And pants." Yu looked at the pajamas hanging by the window and said, "Just take off the long pants. The pajamas have been washed and haven't dried yet." "Okay." Pulled down his pants, cover his sister with a blanket, set the air conditioning to 26 degrees, and Yu himself changed into pajamas, got into bed, and was ready to sleep. Xiaoyu was drowsy and muttered, "Little brother, be good." She reached out to grab Yu's neck and fell asleep. Yu lifted his invisibility spell, closed his eyes, and practiced while sleeping. The next day at 7 o'clock, the siblings woke up. Due to the influence of spiritual power, I only slept for a short time without feeling tired, and I am still full of energy. The two parents next door also got up, and the whole family finished washing up and went out to have breakfast. In fact, breakfast is not too bad everywhere. Most of them are deep-fried dough sticks, tofu pudding, steamed stuffed bun pie, noodles and rice noodles, plus some local food. The family had enough to eat and drink, took the things they had prepared before, and prepared to go hiking. I took a taxi to the foot of the mountain, bought a ticket, and then went up the mountain. Although the two children are not young and need to purchase a full ticket, presenting their student ID can be discounted. The Xianxia Lake in Changbai Mountain is quite famous, with various mysterious legends that attract a large number of tourists every year. The purpose of Yu's family today is to see Xianxia Lake. I have checked the information beforehand, and it will be easy to get there by sightseeing bus. It will take several hours to get there by hiking on my own. After discussing with the family, it was decided that hiking up the mountain is the pleasure of mountaineering, and then taking a car down the mountain. At this time, there are already many tourists climbing on the mountain road, with a considerable number of people. As we move forward, the altitude increases and the number of people gradually decreases. Some tourists have no intention of reaching the summit and just come to play, not wanting to be too tired. Father asked Yu and sister, "Do you want to climb the summit?" "Think. You must climb to the top of the mountain." The two children have a firm attitude. My parents are very pleased that with this indomitable attitude, they will surely achieve great things in the future. A family of 4 climbed while enjoying the mountain scenery. Suddenly, Yang Yu tugged at his sister. "Sister, I've found something. Just give your parents a casual glance and catch their attention." "I'll come as soon as I go," Yang Yu whispered in her ear. Yang Xiaoyu nodded to show understanding. Afterwards, I started pulling my parents and asking questions. "Mom and Dad, have you heard of the legend of fox immortals in the Changbai Mountains? Have you heard of it?" Xiaoyu looked like a curious baby at this moment, but in fact, she didn't believe anything about fox immortals. Years of scientific development education have taught her that there are no demons or monsters. When the father saw his child interested, he began to tell the fox fairy stories he had heard of. Seeing that his family's attention had been diverted, Yang Yu took a few steps back and found an empty corner, where he applied an invisibility technique to himself. Afterwards, he jumped out of the mountain road and ran rapidly towards the nearby jungle. Although sister Yang Xiaoyu is attracting the attention of her parents, her attention has always been focused on her younger brother. I saw my little brother suddenly disappear and was startled. Was he the same way yesterday? Disappearing out of thin air and transforming into a living person. Father was startled when he saw her, thinking that the fox fairy story he had told was too magical, so he became even more interested and told another story. I heard that in Changbai Mountain, not only fox immortals, but also other animals and plants can become immortals. My father was enthusiastic, and my mother listened with great interest. At this moment, Yang Yu rushed to the depths of the jungle and saw about 10 fruits growing on a tree, most of which were not yet ripe and contained a little spiritual power. There are only 3 fruits on the top of the tree that are red in color and emit a strong spiritual aura, which must be ripe. Yang Yu rushed up a few steps, picked the 3 fruits, sealed them with spiritual power, and put them into his small backpack. Afterwards, quickly return to the original path, release invisibility, and catch up with the footsteps of the family. At this moment, my father was talking about something intense. It was said that the willow tree, which had become a spirit, fought against the cannibalistic evil snake demon for several days and nights to ensure the safety of the area. Finally, it killed the evil snake demon and saved thousands of lives. People were grateful for the willow tree spirit and offered it incense, and in the end, the willow tree spirit achieved complete merit and became an immortal. Yang Xiaoyu watched as her younger brother rushed up and breathed a sigh of relief. Her family did not notice that her brother had left midway. Yang Yu saw that his father had finished speaking and the timing was right. He handed over a bottle of water and said, "Dad, are you thirsty? Come and drink some water." Yang's father happily took it and touched his son's head, saying, "My eldest son is really considerate." The family continued on, and Yang Xiaoyu whispered to her younger brother, "Got it." Yang Yu nodded and whispered, "This time it's a good thing. I'll show it to you when I go back." The holy grass collected in the previous night looks exactly like the weed, and has nothing special. Even the holy grass, I didn't use the word good thing to describe it. It seems that the things we picked this time are quite unique. Yang Xiaoyu is looking forward to it. I don't know what the spiritual object this time is. The family continued to climb upwards, and when they got tired, they took a break and continued walking. Unconsciously, it has reached a very high altitude, and the number of tourists around is very small. They are all healthy and well-equipped true mountaineering enthusiasts. Find a place to rest and eat something. My mother noticed that it was almost noon and her body was slightly tired, so she needed to rest and recover her strength. And it's also time to wear thicker clothes, as walking up will lower the temperature a lot. The family found a flat place nearby, spread a cushion, and sat down to rest. Mother took out some small snacks from her bag to replenish everyone's energy, drank some water, put thick clothes on her body, and the family continued hiking. I roughly estimated that after walking for about half, I should be able to see Xianxia in the afternoon, and there shouldn't be any problem. Yang Yu uses spiritual power every once in a while to improve his physical fitness. His parents and sister have better physical fitness than ordinary people, and their physical strength recovers quickly. This time, Yang Yu and his sister Yang Xiaoyu walked in front, with their parents walking behind. Watching the siblings holding hands and walking ahead, whispering and laughing from time to time, my mother's eyes were filled with tenderness. "Dear, the two children get along so well, just like a little couple," sighed the mother. Father is usually very gentle, almost to the point of spoiling his children, but at this moment, his eyebrows furrow slightly and his face looks serious. "Children probably don't know the real situation, neither you nor I have talked about it, nor do we have diaries or anything like that. In other words, children should firmly believe that they are siblings. In this situation, they are still so close. If it weren't for our situation, but for real siblings, even if it weren't. Immigrating to Germany. The father also understands the memes on the internet, but the meaning in the words is very firm. If the children make such a choice, his old father will definitely support and provide corresponding means. Fortunately, it's not. I heard that having children with close relatives can be unhealthy and have various strange problems. Fortunately, it's not. The mother was worried about the unhealthy situation of having children and never considered separating the two children. If we let the children go with the flow, it's probably just a matter of time. But having children too early can have an impact on their physical health. Although we didn't let them take a shower together before, the children's bedrooms have never been checked at night. If young people's curiosity arises, I really want to have a grandson soon. But the children are still young, let's wait a little longer. When I get back from the trip, I'll take some time to tell my daughter how to use the small umbrella, just in case, said the mother. Darling, should we reveal the actual situation? Father asked his mother for her opinion. The mother shook her head and said, don't say anything for now. Give the children some more time to grow up, at least wait until they are all adults. Mom and Dad. Hurry up. The siblings had already walked a long way and realized that they hadn't kept up. They turned around and called out. Here we go. Father immediately lifted his head and a smile instantly returned. The serious expression on his face during the conversation quickly disappeared. Along the way, enjoy the scenery and laugh endlessly. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we finally arrived near Xianxia Lake. There are more tourists here, and some of them come directly by car. Yang Yu found an angle for the family, took a few photos, and took a group photo of the four of them, feeling extremely happy. The parents also asked Yang Xiaoyu and Yang Yu siblings to take a few separate photos together. In the photos, Xiaoyu held her brother's hand and smiled sweetly. Having taken enough photos, the family found a place to rest and planned to take a little stroll later before waiting for the car to come down the mountain. Yang Yu activated another wave of soul induction, and as he had guessed, there were many spiritual creatures in Xianxia. He gave his sister a wink and said, Mom and Dad, sister, let's talk first. I'll go to the restroom, maybe it'll take a while. Of course, there are also toilets on the mountain, after all, it is a developed scenic area. Parents have no doubt and continue chatting. Yang Xiaoyu knew that her younger brother had discovered something again, so she chuckled and threw him a pack of tissues. She said, hurry up, can you find the toilet? If you can't find it, it'll be terrible if you can't hold it on the way back. So Yang Yu went to the toilet to squat in the pit. That's strange. Walking to the vicinity of the public restroom, seeing no one around, he quickly activated his invisibility technique. His body movements were like the wind, and he used the fastest speed to sweep away all the nearby spiritual objects. There were more than 20 spiritual herbs and elixirs, as if he was coming to purchase, and he packed half a backpack. I feel like I have collected a lot of spiritual items, enough for the siblings to use tonight. Tomorrow is a day off, and the day after tomorrow, he will climb the mountain again from a different direction. There is still a chance the day after tomorrow, so Yang Yu didn't walk too far and went back directly. The family strolled around the Xianxia Lake to see the legendary water monster, but no water monster appeared from the Xianxia Lake. Yang Yu has also used the power of his soul to sense that there are no special creatures living in Xianxia Lake. Before sunset, the family took a tour bus back. Yang Yu was thinking about spiritual objects in another direction, hoping to have some other gains the day after tomorrow. Chapter 8. Washing Scriptures and Cutting Marrow for Sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Returning to the hotel, it was already dark, and the family went to the restaurant where they had stewed big bones before and had a big meal. Because mountaineering consumes a lot of energy, everyone has eaten a lot. I only ate the dishes before and didn't order the main course. This time, I felt very hungry, so I ordered rice again. As soon as the rice was served, the aroma of the rice filled the air. Father exclaimed repeatedly, "It's really fragrant." I heard before that the rice in the northeast is particularly good, but today I can truly see it. Yang Yu took a bite and it was indeed sweeter and sweeter as he chewed. Take a look at my sister, she's already adding a second bowl of rice. The family had eaten and drank enough before returning to the hotel. I'm not in the mood to play cards this time, and I'm really tired. I just want to lie down quickly. Yang Yu helped his sister into the room. Sorry for hugging. Hiccup. Sorry for eating too much. The food here is so delicious that I couldn't control it for a moment. Hiccup. Young Xiaoyu was a bit shy, eating so much that she couldn't walk, so she was not a lady. Yang Yu said, eating more is a good thing. What we need to do later on is very exhausting. Young Xiaoyu widened her eyes in surprise and whispered in her younger brother's ear, "Is that what I thought?" She raised one hand and clenched her fist, then extended her index and middle fingers in the shape of a sword finger. Yang Yu chuckled and reached out to grab his sister's raised finger, saying, "That's right, it's the kind of thing you think." Xiaoyu was so excited that she hugged her little brother tightly and said, "Great. I didn't expect to have the opportunity to be with you so soon." That's right, Xiaoyu never expected to cultivate immortality with me so quickly. The siblings have a very tacit understanding and fully understand each other's intentions. But young Xiaoyu has eaten too much and needs some rest. Little brother, do you have a spell that no matter how much you eat, you won't gain weight? Young Xiaoyu is a snack lover, and in order to maintain her figure, she can only control her appetite, which is very uncomfortable. So she first asked the questions that all the girls wanted to ask. Yang Yu explained, after you start practicing, your body will become stronger and stronger. Eating to replenish energy will ultimately transform into spiritual power stored in your elixir fields and meridians, without turning into fat. The body is getting stronger and stronger, isn't it referring to a big muscle? I don't want to become a muscular woman, Xiaoyu said with some concern, recalling the protein queen in the biology textbook. No way. Cultivating immortals enhances one's physical fitness through spiritual power, unlike athletes who enhance their physical fitness through physical training. Essentially, it's different. However, if it's physical cultivation and practicing martial arts to enter the realm, it can really build muscles. Yang Xiaoyu is very satisfied. Watching Yang Yu take out one spiritual herb after another from his backpack, Xiaoyu suddenly thought of a question. Brother, I don't know how to directly absorb spiritual energy as you mentioned. Do you really want to eat it? Or should I start learning how to absorb spiritual energy now? Yang Yu replied, what we need to do now is to wash our sister's meridians and marrow, remove impurities from her body, and make the energy more pure. Then, we can help her absorb spiritual energy. Teaching her this spell is possible, but it won't take 1 or 2 days to learn. You can learn it slowly when you go back. However, with the help of my younger brother, sister doesn't need to personally refine spiritual energy, just leave it to me. Young Xiaoyu could tell that extracting spiritual energy may not be a simple task. Thank you, little brother. Little brother is really good. Xiaoyu took a hard sip on his younger brother's face. First, take a break, digest, and then prepare to wash the menstrual and bone marrow. When washing the menstrual and bone marrow, impurities in the body will be discharged through the pores of the body. Let's go to the bathroom to have a rest. Okay, let's all listen to my arrangements. The siblings turned on the TV and watched cartoons for a while. After about an hour, young Xiaoyu felt that she had digested almost enough and was not as strong anymore. Little brother, I feel like I've almost digested. Xiaoyu lifted her shirt, revealing her smooth belly and rubbed it twice with her hands. Yang Yu took a look at his sister's belly, and there should be no problem. Let's go to the bathroom. Yang Xiaoyu left 3 times, 5 times, and 2 times, then threw her clothes on the bed and went into the bathroom, shouting, "Little brother, hurry up." Yang Yu also took off his clothes. On the one hand, he didn't want to get wet, and on the other hand, he happened to take a shower. Entering the bathroom, Yang Xiaoyu set up the shower and stood underneath to flush the water. Seeing my younger brother come in, I felt a little nervous and asked anxiously, "What do I need to do to wash the scriptures and cut the marrow? Do I need to do any special movements? Do I want to do cross-legged meditation and hand-pinching techniques?" Yang Yu smiled and said, "There aren't so many requirements. You can stand and sit whenever you want, no matter what. You don't have to be as troublesome as in TV dramas. Sitting comfortably, should I bring you a plastic stool?" "No need, let's just do it this way." Xiaoyu felt like she was being fooled by the TV drama. "By the way, how long will it take? Will it be long?" Xiaoyu thought of some more questions. "About an hour or so. Generally speaking, it depends on the level of spiritual power reserve. Sister's spiritual power reserve is 0, and it is provided by the external power bank, little brother. Don't worry, little brother has very sufficient spiritual power, which is enough for sister to use." Xiaoyu chuckled and said, "You kid, the metaphor for a power bank is very appropriate, but do you need to plug it in? There really is such a transmission method, but it's too early for us, isn't it? First, we can use the general method of pressing on the acupoint to transmit, just like this." Speaking, Yang Yu pressed his hand on his sister's dantian. Yang Xiaoyu trembled nervously and held down her younger brother's hand, saying, "Wait a moment. There's one more question, don't start yet. Sister, if you have any further questions, feel free to ask. We can start when you are ready. This is the one that washes the meridians and destroys the marrow. Will it hurt?" Yang Xiaoyu was a bit afraid of pain. At the beginning of opening up the meridians, there will be a slight pain, and then it will stop. Yang Xiaoyu gritted her teeth and said, "You lean your shoulder over. A little pain is nothing. If it weren't for just a little pain, it would have hurt me too much and I would have bitten you." Yang Yu looked helpless and said, "You can bite if you want, but I haven't taken a shower yet." "Pa. My sister slapped me on the shoulder. Stop talking. Let's start now." Yang Yu stopped joking and said solemnly, "Sister, let's start. After washing the meridians and marrow, impurities in the body will be discharged from the pores of the body. Just wash them off." Speaking, Yang Yu placed his hand on Yang Xiaoyu's forehead and started from the yin tang acupoint. Quickly, Xiaoyu felt a wonderful warm current flowing through her younger brother's palm and flowing towards her brain through her forehead. After a round of warm circulation, it returned to the middle of the forehead, hovering unsteadily. This step is quickly completed. Next, you need to input spiritual power into the Tanzhong acupoint, and then communicate with the spiritual power of the yin tang to allow the two to flow along the meridians. The position of this Tanzhong acupoint is not easy for Yang Yu to grasp. "Sister, you reach out and help." "Okay." Yang Xiaoyu adjusted her posture. Yang Yu extended his palm and pressed down on his sister's Tanzhong acupoint, inputting a wave of spiritual power, and then began to communicate with Yin Tang's spiritual power to open up the meridians. Xiaoyu was feeling the spiritual power in her body when a slight pain suddenly appeared. From her forehead down, it seemed that a channel was gradually opening up, connecting to the hot Tanzhong acupoint in her chest. Is this to unblock the meridians? A magical feeling. A little pain is not very severe, it can be tolerated. Yang Xiaoyu pondered in her heart. After the meridians are connected, the pain stops. Next, the two spiritual powers merged into one and began to circulate in the meridians, feeling quite comfortable. Yang Xiaoyu had a feeling that the spiritual power input by her younger brother had been taken over by her, and she could also feel the flow of spiritual power, and even make operations on it. Just having this feeling, Yang Xiaoyu didn't dare to actually operate, fearing that it would affect her younger brother's ability to cleanse her meridians and marrow. The meridians have been unblocked, and the Tanzhong acupoint has also been completed. Yang Yu withdrew his hand and asked his sister, "How do you feel? Is the pain severe?" Yang Xiaoyu shook her head and said, "It's okay, it's not very painful." Yang Yu reminded, "The next Dantian may experience even more severe pain than before. If you can't help it, bite my shoulder." "Okay, let's continue." Yang Xiaoyu gritted her teeth and was mentally prepared. Yang Yu focused and pressed his right hand on his sister's lower abdomen. Yang Xiaoyu felt a warm spiritual force flowing through her little brother's hand and entering her body, hovering in a certain part of her lower abdomen, as if creating a space. After creating a small space, spiritual power lingered in the middle and remained motionless. Even before the pain started to rise here, Yang Xiaoyu was on tenterhooks. Suddenly, the spiritual power of the Tanzhong acupoint began to move and began to open up the meridians in the direction of the Dantian. A wave of pain came, and Yang Xiaoyu furrowed her brows, feeling comparable to the pain of her first visit to her aunt. Hiss. Yang Xiaoyu took a cold breath and hugged her younger brother, lying on his shoulder. Yang Yu knew that his sister was starting to feel pain, but it wasn't over yet. Until the meridians were cleared, the pain would increase slightly. It's not that you can't stop in the middle, but if you stop this time and open up your meridians again next time, it will become even more painful. It's like there was originally a wound that was very painful, and if it doesn't heal properly, another wound is cut in the same area, causing even more pain. As spiritual power advances, a stronger sense of pain spreads. Yang Xiaoyu furrowed her brows, trembling all over, and sweating profusely. She opened her mouth and bit her little brother's shoulder, but immediately let go. She couldn't bear to bite him. Yang Yu gently stroked his sister's back with his other hand, hoping to alleviate her pain. Fortunately, the pain didn't last long and passed quickly. Two spiritual powers converge in the elixir field and then spread towards the unique meridians and 8 meridians throughout the body. There is no pain in this process, only a tingling sensation. Yang Yu withdrew his hand from his sister's lower abdomen and supported her with both arms. At this point, impurities had already begun to be expelled from Yang Xiaoyu's pores, and warm water flowed down from her head. Yang Yu gently cleaned her sister. Yang Xiaoyu looked at her younger brother and saw that he had impurities from her own discharge on his body. She shyly said, "I'm sorry, younger brother, I got you dirty. Sister, I'll help you clean it up now." Until Xiaoyu no longer had any impurities discharged, both of them cleaned thoroughly and wrapped themselves in towels before coming out. Yang Xiaoyu felt that her legs were weak, and indeed she had expended a lot of energy. Sister also entered the path of cultivating immortality, so Yang Yu stopped pretending and directly dried the moisture on their bodies with spiritual power, making their hair dry and comfortable. After helping his sister lie down, Yang Yu opened his backpack and flipped through it. He took out 2 red fruits, removed the spiritual power from them, took them to the bathroom to clean, and then handed them to his sister. With the spiritual power of this fruit, there is no need to eat those spiritual herbs for now. And the fruit should be more delicious than the spirit grass. Yang Xiaoyu took a look and saw that this fruit had a big fist and was not a common fruit, so she couldn't recognize its variety. Before washing the scriptures and cutting the marrow, Yang Xiaoyu couldn't see anything special about this fruit. After washing and cutting the marrow, Yang Xiaoyu carefully observed and found that this fruit seemed to contain some kind of energy. Is this fruit the good thing you mentioned before? Just eat it directly. Yang Yu replied, yes, that's it. Just eat it directly. I checked and there are no toxins. There is a nucleus inside, be careful not to swallow it. Yang Xiaoyu sat up, put the fruit to her mouth, and took a bite. There's nothing special, a slightly sour and slightly sweet fruit with no special aroma or taste. I'm a bit disappointed in my expectations. Yang Xiaoyu finished eating the fruit and held the pit in her hand to observe. It looked a bit like an apricot pit, with some strange patterns on it, but not as crisscrossed as the surface of a peach pit. Suddenly, Yang Xiaoyu felt that the fruit in her stomach was being transformed into pure spiritual energy, which was quickly absorbed by her body and then stored in the elixir field. Yang Yu took the fruit pit from his sister's hand and wrapped it in paper. This fruit is quite good. I wonder if it's possible to take it back and plant it at home. Let's give it a try, Yang Yu said to his sister. Yang Xiaoyu smashed her mouth and mouth. From the perspective of spiritual energy, this fruit seems to be. Maybe. Probably. It's also quite delicious. Chapter 9. Can't you sleep in the midnight? Learn a spell first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Yu also ate a fruit and collected 2 fruit pits. There is also a third fruit, which is placed in the backpack and sealed with spiritual power. I will give it to my sister to eat tomorrow. Eating too many spiritual items as soon as I started, it won't absorb well. As for parents, they have missed the best opportunity for cultivation. Even if they can wash the scriptures and cut the marrow, and use a large number of spiritual items to forcefully enter the path of cultivation at no cost, they will not be able to absorb much spiritual energy, making it difficult to develop. To ensure the health and longevity of parents, it is actually better to use external spiritual power to help them strengthen their physical fitness. At this moment, Yang Xiaoyu also recovered from her weak state. The siblings brushed their teeth, went to the bathroom, returned to bed, and lay down, turning off the lights. It's already late at night. After climbing the mountain all day, Yang Xiaoyu is quite tired and should have rested here. But just as she washed her scriptures and cut through her marrow, and embarked on the path of cultivating immortality, she was full of curiosity. She always wanted to hold her little brother and ask something, but didn't know where to start. This feeling made Xiaoyu a little anxious. Yang Yu looked at his sister's thirst for knowledge and found it a bit funny. Sister, you can ask whatever you want. The days of cultivating immortality are still long, so don't be in a hurry. Just ask whatever comes to mind. Yang Xiaoyu stared at her younger brother and suddenly thought of a starting point. Can you teach me a spell first, little brother? I want to learn it now. Is there any spell that I can learn right away? Teach me a simple one. Yang Yu smiled and said, all right, what spells do you want to learn, sister? The spells you've been using in front of your sister lately are not difficult, just choose any one. Sister is so smart, you must be able to learn them right away. Yang Xiaoyu thought about several spells she had seen recently. The one running fast and jumping high looks like a spell to strengthen the body. They are lying down now and don't want to run or jump. Let's talk about it another day. The one that caused a small scale explosion looks dangerous, so I don't plan to study it for now. If it harms others and costs money, I'll talk about it if I have the opportunity to use it in the future. Invisibility, this is fun, but I currently don't have the need to use it. Let's talk about it another day. Night vision, this is good. It's very convenient to use it when going to the bathroom at night. That's it. I want to learn the magic of night vision. Yang Xiaoyu decided. Yang Yu carefully explained to his sister. That is actually a very useful spell called spiritual vision. Just pour a small amount of spiritual power into your eyes and activate several meridian acupoints in your eyes. Night vision is just one of its many functions. and you can also use it to judge the strength of your opponent by observing the strength of spiritual power, see the direction of spiritual power flow to avoid their attacks. And so on. There are many other functions that cannot be said for a while. Let's learn from the most basic function, the night vision function. Yang Yu pressed his hands on both sides of his sister's temple, using his spiritual power to guide her and explaining some usage details. Yang Xiaoyu carefully felt the direction of spiritual power flow and remembered the position of meridian acupoints. The basic night vision function is very simple, and Yang Xiaoyu feels like she has learned it. I seem to have learned it, let's give it a try. Yang Xiaoyu asked his younger brother to test it for him, and he randomly extended his fingers to see if he could see it clearly. Although it's dark outside, the lights are still brightly lit, and there will still be light shining through the gaps in the curtains. Yang Xiaoyu tried several times and found that she could get a rough idea without using spiritual power to infuse her eyes. So, let's get into the bed and try it out, Yang Xiaoyu suggested, and the siblings huddled in the bed and covered their heads. Sure enough, it was pitch black. Even though I knew my little brother was right in front of me, I could feel the airflow driven by my breath, but I couldn't see anything. Yang Xiaoyu began to mobilize her spiritual power, flowing from Dantian to Yintang acupoint, infusing her eyes, and then diverting it to the meridians around her eyes. The field of vision began to change, similar to the night vision spell given by my younger brother before. Although it still looked pitch black, it was able to distinguish what the surrounding things looked and what shape they were. I'm ready, come on, Yang Xiaoyu said. Yang Yu began to gesture his fingers. What is this? 3. What is this? 5. What about this time? 2. After trying a few times, Yang Yu can confirm that his sister has indeed successfully used the night vision function of Xianxia, which is very successful. Congratulations sister, you have learned the night vision function of spiritual vision. You have learned it so quickly. Yang Yu applauded with a whimper. Xiaoyu was also very happy and said, great. I can also use spells. The siblings were hiding under the covers, laughing and playing, as if going back to a very young age. Yang Yu said, when I was young, I used to play with my head covered in the quilt before going to bed. Yang Xiaoyu laughed and cursed, stinky kid, you're not that old now, you're still a child. Where am I too young? I'm almost catching up with my sister, not at all small. Hee hee. Usually it's just children who say that. They're not at all young. Yang Xiaoyu suddenly stopped speaking. Yang Yu saw his sister suddenly stop talking and looked intently at something before asking, sister. What's wrong? At this moment, Yang Xiaoyu was staring at the towel around his waist and lost in thought. Looking at themselves again, they were also towels, and both of them forgot to change their pajamas. Xiaoyu went up and pulled off the towel from her younger brother's waist, then also pulled off her own towel, kneaded it into a ball, and threw it out. Then he grabbed the little brother's head and hugged him, saying, It's okay, just learn the spell, go to sleep now. Yang Yu rubbed his face left and right, found a comfortable position, and reached out to grab his sister's waist. As Yang Xiaoyu touched Yang Yu's hair, she whispered, Stinky kid, you're really big. But even if you're big, you're still my little brother. You have to listen to my sister, you know. Yang Yu lifted his head from the softness and said with a smile, Of course, my sister has been good to me since she was young, and I also want to be good to her. I'll listen to her. The two embraced each other and slept soundly. Chapter 10. Monsters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. +++++ author's statement. This article is purely fictional. In life, we should believe in science and oppose superstition. Traditional culture is limited to the realm of culture and cannot be transcended. The next day, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, met my parents, and had breakfast. The original plan was to take a day off today, climb Changbai Mountain again from another direction tomorrow, purchase some local specialties the day after tomorrow, and go home the day after tomorrow. My parents were surprised to find that after sleeping, there was no soreness in my body. It should have been very tiring climbing all day yesterday, at least that day was still very tiring. I woke up without any fatigue today, and even felt more energetic after exercising. The father felt his chin and thought, could it be true that the tonic diet stewed big bones in that family had a remarkable effect? Only Yang Yu and Yang Xiaoyu know that it is the effect of spiritual power. They won't mention the cultivation of immortals to anyone, it's their little secret. Although my body is not fatigued, I still took a day off as scheduled. It's also good to take a stroll around the area and experience the local customs without climbing the mountain. In the evening, the family tasted other delicacies at another restaurant, and this time Yang Xiaoyu could clearly feel the small amount of spiritual energy contained in the dishes. This is indeed an organic fate. We will come and take a look when we have time in the future, Yang Yu said to his sister. Be sure to come again, just for this delicious food, it's worth coming a few more times. Eat more and have activities in the evening, Yang Yu whispered. Yang Xiaoyu made an okay gesture and added another bowl of rice. Playing cards in my parents' room until 10 p.m., and then being rushed back to sleep. Do you want to take a shower? Yang Xiaoyu asked. Come back and wash it, pass the time first, Yang Yu said, turning on the TV and finding a cartoon to watch with his sister. At around 11 o'clock at night, parents started their activities again. Here, Yang Yu and Yang Xiaoyu are dressed up and ready to go, wearing long pants and long-sleeved hoodies. With Yang Yu's spell in place, there is no need to dress as thick as yesterday's mountaineering. Yang Yu practiced invisibility on his sister and himself, walked out the door, and met a cleaning lady who was mopping the floor. Yang Xiaoyu walked forward and waved her hand in front of the aunt's face, but she didn't react at all. I really can't see anything. Yang Xiaoyu seemed to have found a new toy, playing happily. She waved her hand when she saw someone, and no one could see her, not even hear her voice. Sister, don't play anymore. We still have to hurry to find spiritual objects, Yang Yu urged. Oh yes, I almost forgot the main thing. Hurry up, let's go. Yang Xiaoyu immediately jumped onto Yang Yu's back. After several minutes of wild running, the two of them arrived at the foot of a mountain again, still taking an unusual path. This time, Yang Yu had a strong purpose and headed straight to the mountaintop. There were many good things near Xianxia. Various enhancement spells have already been arranged properly, and at this moment, Yang Xiaoyu doesn't feel cold at all by the side of Xianxia. Little brother, are there many good things level spiritual creatures around here? Can I sense them? Yang Xiaoyu asked. Yang Yu thought for a moment and replied, it's possible, but you can't sense it that far. You can only sense it when you get closer. It seems that I can't help my little brother anymore. So, come on, sister, come on and cheer for you. Yang Yu began his soul sensing and instantly sensed more than 10 spiritual herbs and medicines around him, among which 5 were quite unique, containing even more spiritual energy than the fruit he ate yesterday. Yang Yu ran quickly with his sister on his back, rushed to a place, collected, sealed, and handed it over to his sister. Yang Xiaoyu took the spiritual object and put it in her small backpack. Because Yang Yu's backpack already contained many spiritual items, he didn't carry them out. Just walking and collecting all the way, soon Xiaoyu's backpack was almost full. So I prepared to collect 2 more trees and go back to sleep. At this moment, Yang Yu's soul sensing discovered something interesting. That are 2 animals with spiritual power. Yang Yu asked his sister, are there any animals that have become sperm, or are they called monsters? Do you want to go and see them? Upon hearing this, Yang Xiaoyu immediately became interested and said, are there really any animals that have become refined? Go and see. She suddenly thought of the legend she had heard before that there were evil monsters that could eat people, and became a little scared. Little brother, are you safe? Can you beat the monsters when they come? Xiaoyu asked anxiously. Yang Yu's soul sensing clearly revealed the strength of the two animals. Even if you don't use spiritual power, you can easily kill them with just soul power, and there's no problem. Yang Yu replied, these two are not my opponents at all, don't worry. And we can watch from a distance, not too close. Young Xiaoyu has been thinking about it for a long time. Knowing that her younger brother can defeat those two monsters, she immediately became afraid. I'm not afraid of anything with my little brother. Yang Yu carried his sister on his back and rushed all the way to the spot where the two monsters could be seen. He hid behind a stone, mainly worried that his sister would be afraid. In fact, the invisibility technique applied by Yang Yu was completely invisible to these two monsters. From a distance, the two monsters, one is a large snake, with a thick and sturdy physique that is thicker than an adult's thighs. At this moment, they stand up with their upper body in an attacking posture. The other one is a little fox, which appears to have been injured and has difficulty moving. Some parts of its body are dripping blood, which should have been caused by the snake demon throwing its tail and flying. It seems that the little fox fell behind in the battle with the snake demon, but still stared at the snake demon with a fierce determination to bite off a piece of flesh from the opponent even at the cost of his life. The snake demon clearly has an advantage at this time, but dare not launch an attack recklessly. Because a few minutes ago, it felt a powerful and terrifying soul power sweeping through this area. The snake demon thought to himself, are there any other predators wandering nearby? If one reveals a flaw, there may be danger. The snake demon does not want to attract the attention of the soul power master, but is reluctant to let go of the prey in front of it. I didn't expect this little fox to stop running and turn around with a deadly attitude. It's troublesome now. If we start fighting, it will definitely attract the attention of the soul power master. If we are desperately entangled by this little fox and cannot escape, there may be a danger to our lives when that terrifying presence appears. The snake demon stuck out its tongue and spoke harshly to the little fox, why? How dare you still grit your teeth at me? Can you keep me? If you don't run away, I'll eat you. Its voice was hoarse and very unpleasant. It wanted to scare the little fox away, so it quickly ran away. However, the little fox does not eat this trick. The little fox suddenly burst out with a strong aura and howled up to the sky. Ow! Then he mustered all his courage and shouted, I don't know where the senior passed by here. I earnestly request to come out and meet you. Don't doubt why monsters speak the language of the Dragon Kingdom, because dragons were once the strongest demon immortals. According to his rules, all spirits who have achieved cultivation must communicate in the language of dragons, including his followers. The Dragon Clan. Since then, dragon language has become a common language among immortals, demons, and humans in the Dragon Kingdom. The little fox was still shouting, Senior. Please come out and meet me. The voice sounds like a young girl. Yang Xiaoyu asked her younger brother, can it feel us? Yang Yu shook his head and said, it's impossible. The difference in strength is too huge. If you can see through my invisibility skills, the two of them won't fight on the ground anymore. They should be able to fly. In his previous life, Yang Yu's strength was in the early stages of Mahayana. If he faced an opponent in the air, he could use his mana to fly into the sky. In fact, as long as he reached the stage of Yuanying, he could fly briefly. Although the cultivation in this life has just begun and cannot fly yet, the power of the soul far exceeds that of previous lives, and the ability to control spells is extremely strong. Even if advanced spells cannot be used, only low-level spells can be used, and the level of using low-level spells is stronger than in previous lifetimes. To see through the invisibility techniques currently used by Yang Yu, the lower limit must be at least that of a master who has crossed the tribulation period. If these two monsters have the strength to cross the tribulation period, they will definitely fly. Yang Yu analyzed to his sister, it may be trying to shout me out and join forces with me to kill the strong enemy on the opposite side. It knows it can't fight me, so it must be determined to die and use its own life and cultivation to replace its opponent. I guess this snake and fox have a deep blood feud. Yang Xiaoyu said, if they can't beat you, it's okay to go out and see what this little fox means. Okay. Yang Yu and his sister walked out from behind the stone and came to the vicinity of two monsters. At this point, the snake demon was already trying to escape. But it knows that if it turns around and runs away, the little fox will definitely give it a hard blow. The power of the snake demon is indeed stronger than that of the little fox, but it has not reached the level of crushing, otherwise it wouldn't have been pursued for so long without killing it. If you receive a full blow from the little fox behind your back, even if you don't die, you will still be injured, and it will also attract the attention of terrifying beings. So it began to mock the little fox and said, it seems that the senior didn't mean to come and help you. In their eyes, you don't even have any value as food. The little fox didn't give up and continued to shout, Senior. Please come out and meet me. Stop shouting. We're coming. Yang Yu's voice suddenly appeared, startling both monsters. Yang Yu lifted his invisibility spell and walked with his sister to the vicinity of the two demons. The little fox saw Yang Yu and his companions and immediately withdrew his momentum, kneeling on the ground. Congratulations to the two senior members of the human race. The little fox made a big bow of throwing himself all over the ground. The snake demon was startled and then came back to his senses. This is what you call the senior. Two human children. Ha 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 ha. The snake demon felt that the master of the soul power could not be these two human children, and laughed recklessly. Yang Yu looked at the little fox and said, don't worry about it for now. It was you who called me out, so why? He then pulled his sister to the side of the little fox and looked down at it from a high position. The little fox dared not underestimate the two young people of the human race in front of him. It knew that before these two young people of the human race appeared next to the two demons, they had not noticed any of their demonic power. These two human races must be extraordinary experts, much stronger than themselves. It is highly likely that the soul power they just unleashed was also from them. The little fox remained in a kneeling position and said, Senior, this snake demon attacked our cave many years ago. My parents died in its mouth to save me. The little fox escaped alone for several years, but was unexpectedly found by it again. Now, the little fox is seriously injured and unable to escape anymore. I was about to fight with it, but unexpectedly sensed the power of the senior's soul. The little fox raised its head and looked directly into Yang Yu's eyes, saying, I only hope that the senior can take action to kill this snake demon and avenge the little fox. As a price, the little fox is willing to offer this body. Whether the senior wants to eat it or use it as a cauldron, the little fox has no complaints. Yang Yu sighed and said, I sympathize with your situation, but eating and being eaten is a natural law. In my opinion, this snake demon is just hunting. So this cannot be the reason for me to kill it. The little fox's eyes darkened, it seemed that his small chips were not enough to impress the senior. Sister Yang Xiaoyu, however, was a compassionate person who pounded her younger brother's shoulder and said, the little fox is so pitiful, you can help it. He crouched down again to stroke the little fox's head and said, don't be afraid, little fox. I am the sister of that stinky kid, and I will definitely persuade him to help you, and I won't eat you. The little fox looked at Yang Xiaoyu with a pleading expression in his eyes. Yang Xiaoyu continued to plead, little brother, sister, please help the little fox. If you don't help it, it will be eaten by a big snake. It's so pitiful. The snake demon not far away seemed to have laughed enough and stared at the two of them, saying, help it kill me. You guys are young and have a good temper. I'll kill that little fox soon, and then I'll eat both of you human cubs together. Yang Yu's gaze suddenly became dangerous. Are you still eating people? Do you still want to eat my sister? This reason is very strong, you can die. After speaking, he reached out and waved at the snake demon. The snake demon only felt a gust of wind blowing in its face, as if nothing had happened. It began to mock, is that all? Then it couldn't laugh anymore. It saw its body lying on the ground. My body. What is my current situation? It lowered its head to look at its snake body, which was now in a semi-transparent spiritual state. Just a wave of my hand drove my soul out of my body. Upon closer inspection, it was finally discovered that its soul's snake body was being held by a large hand formed by the power of the soul. De Desien, spare your life. The soul of the snake demon was only able to say this last sentence when it was forcefully pinched by the power of the soul, and its soul flew away. The little fox looked so dumbfounded that it looked at Yang Yu again, as if it were looking at a terrifying monster. Watching his gentle gaze towards his sister Xianxia, the little fox understood. Just now, I was infuriated by the snake demon's phrase, "I've eaten you all," when I couldn't even afford to invite my senior at my own expense. The senior doesn't even need to care about the ridicule of this little demon, but his sister seems to be his thorn in the side. Whoever wants to move this sister will have to face the anger of this terrifying monster. Sister, I don't think I can take this snake meat with me anymore. There's too much. Let's barbecue and eat it here. Eat as much as you can. The rest will be refined into spiritual power and compressed to take away. Watching Yang Yu set up a campfire and casually broke off a few branches to make a simple wooden grill, the little fox was extremely grateful. Fortunately, when the sister touched her head, she didn't move. Whenever there was a hint of rebellion just now, in a while, I'm afraid I'll have to grill with that snake demon on the same shelf.